Okay. Welcome to the August 22nd, 2024 Planning Board meeting. So we'll have a roll call, please.
Chair LaFaro.
Present.
Vice Chair Finity.
Present.
The Secretary is present. Board Member Mutu.
Present.
Board Member Neely.
Present.
Board Member Fulham is absent. We have a quorum.
Great, thank you. Please join us for Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And do we have some minutes?
Yes,
Glenn?
August 8th, so we're up to date.
August 8th, wonderful.
Motion.
By Dennis, second by
Second.
George, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 5 in favor, 1 absent. We have a work session,
Yeah.
Anthony?
Yeah, so I'll have the applicant and the representative, Lisa Poyer, and I forgot her name. Lawrence Elliott. So the board knows this is a property at 287 East Montauk Highway, just a few lots to the west of the Edgewater restaurant. It is motel zone. Dennis, I said RWB before, or did I say motel? It was one of them.
Motel.
Motel.
Yeah.
So this is, it's got an existing single-family residence and I believe a detached, is it a garage? A cottage. Oh, that's right, they have two legal residences on this property. I believe the proposal, if I discuss the board, is to convert those two structures, maybe I misunderstood it a little bit, to restaurant.
Two
Well,
One
it shows
restaurant.
two restaurants.
One restaurant.
They'll explain now what, how the design of the proposal.
Convert meaning not tear down and rebuild, or just modify?
Modify.
Okay.
Not tear down.
Okay.
We're trying to keep them.
They're trying to keep the structures.
Lisa
I'll
Poyer,
let you know.
Twin Forks Permits on behalf of the applicant, which is Lawrence Elliott, who's here in attendance as well today. So it's a motel zone property. You've got Edgewater, not right next door, but another property away, actually 2 away, because you have a flag strip that comes up along the east side. The property in the back is motel zoned. The properties to the east are motel zoned, and the property to the west is the Ocean View Terrace Motel. And then directly across the street is residences, and then Shinnecock Bay.
The properties between this application's property and Edgewater, you said they were motel zone. Are they actually functioning motels, or are they homes?
There's a home here, and then Edgewater.
So it's
It's motel zone, but
it's-
these
it's
two are acting as residences.
Okay,
I
that's,
don't know if they're 100% residences or.
The one next to Edgewater, Anthony, is motel zone?
No,
That
the other side.
Skinny one?
The
No,
others.
the other
Yeah,
way,
they're
the
all
other
motels.
side.
to
You can
the,
see the,
to
su-
the
Yeah,
west.
you can see here,
That is
the motel zone, yeah,
Yeah,
basically just to the east of Edgewater at the corner here, and then comes all the way down. So you
to
get
the
to
Hampton
the,
Maid
Okay, so the building behind you,
is motel zone, but is a
It's in the-
residence.
it's in the zone. I see,
Yes.
it's within that area.
So this is probably a residence before that
Yes,
was
there were.
zoned that way.
Yes, there was a residence here, and then there's a legal residence here. This one was built probably in, I think 50 is what the mass appraisal said, and this one said 55, so prior to zoning. They both have legal C of Os for residences. We're looking to convert those structures. They're not in the best condition. I don't know if you've driven by, but.
I drive by, but I try to look at the road.
to your point, just looking back,
There's a couple there,
looks like the zoning
a couple there.
changed back in the 70s. It was all residential. Then in the 70s, when this was rezoned to motel, this property was still in the R15 zone at the time, and the house was there. So the house was there
Okay,
prior
so
to the
that's the
change of zoning.
zoning history.
So they're spectacular looking homes, but
Well,
Well,
They're
that's-
homes.
Have a little
yeah, but
age,
they're
but
not. I mean,
So,
they're not historic looking,
no.
which would add something to a restaurant. You know,
they're looking to renovate those existing structures to maintain the footprint. There may be some changes to the decking area.
just start from the beginning. Tell us what,
So it'll be one restaurant covering both structures.
one restaurant covering both structures.
Think of it as if you went to a restaurant and you had like an upstairs bar, it's no different than that. You have, a whole bar area, then you have the main seating area. This is a raw bar that they're looking to do, and then the main restaurant will be over here. Or if you had a food truck, food trucks come onto the properties, you have to have a restaurant associated with that property, but you can have a separate food truck, which kind of acts like a raw bar in that sense. It's still under the same ownership. They're not two separate corporations. It's one restaurant, just happens to be in two buildings because they're trying to reuse what's on the property. So we're here before.
There's seating in each structure?
Yes, there'll be 15 seats in the raw bar, 30, most of the 30 will be outside in the two-story residence, just because most of this residence will be taken up with the kitchen. And there's, some of the kitchen supplies and food will be prepped for the raw bar as well in here. There'll be a small little kitchenette area. I really think this acts almost like a food truck, pretty much.
But it's not a takeout.
And I'm assuming this would just be a seasonal business?
To be
You're saying most of the seats are outside.
There'll be 6 or 7 seats inside here. There'll be quite a, most of the seats for the raw bar will be inside here. Maybe, seasonal out here is somewhat dependent with screening in areas sometimes and heaters and trying to extend the season, obviously, for everybody.
So there's one entity owning or operating both structures?
Correct.
What is to prevent that entity from leasing out one of the structures to a different business?
An agreement, covenant, we could put something in the site plan approval conditions.
You consider it one use.
Yes.
We had a discussion about this. Do you think it's one
Yeah,
use?
I don't know the answer to this, obviously. Obviously Dennis raised the question, you raised the question too now about a number of uses. So under the code in the zoning district, you're allowed one use per 20,000 square feet. Whether or not this constitute a single use or two uses, that's a question for this board, right? But it's also a question that I think the chief building inspector is going to have to chime in on to make
You can
a
go meet with him.
determination.
How big is the property?
22,000 and change.
Oh.
So it
So
falls
half-
within that limitation
Yeah, so
as
it's half,
one use.
half acre kind.
Right. I mean, I just think it's a very fine splitting of hairs. The logic of it is sort of like an end run around one use.
I mean, the alternative is to demolish that and connect,
Expand the building.
expand the building.
Because you don't have, what do you have, how many seats in the big building?
30 in this building and 15 in this.
Mhm.
And that 30 comprises 24, sounds like 24 outside and
Outside,
6 inside. So it's not
I
really.
mean-
Oh, so there's not much
No,
inside?
No.
outside. Yeah.
Ah,
Well,
Small.
that's why I
And
made
then
a
the
comment
second
about
floor
it being
is for
seasonal.
office space, storage,
Right.
that kind of stuff.
I mean, given the amount of renovation you have to do with this top structure, what are you saving?
That's a question for
For which structure?
For both
Top
of them,
structure.
probably.
the
Oh,
top.
that structure?
Yeah,
The
we're
small
talking
one.
about demolishing
Actually,
it.
no, honestly, the cabin's almost
better shape.
livable,
Yeah,
strangely enough.
but to
It
turn
looks
it into a
bad.
sit-down restaurant, to bring it up to code, seating, septic, lighting, fire suppression.
I mean, given that the kitchen would be very limited there, I'm not sure if that would require fire suppression for the kitchen.
Right.
which one?
This,
Got
The
it.
cottage,
little one.
the little
Yeah.
one.
yeah. But I believe that there are people living in it just about a year and a half ago. strangely
Yeah.
enough.
But a residential use versus a commercial use requires
Different.
a lot more.
Yeah, it's not
Upgrade.
very big. It doesn't, I'm not very concerned about the build-out cost, to tell you the truth.
But you understand that it might be in the situation where this use, you'd have to merge the uses anyway. Because if the building inspector says that's 2 restaurants, which
You could say.
very well could be argued that it's 2 operating restaurants. There's no way of the town knowing whether the single owner is leasing it out. We don't have the ability to drill down into private leases and know that there's another restaurant operating there.
Or you might have one entity operating the raw bar and another entity
Yeah,
operating the
exactly.
restaurant.
You'd have 2 restaurants. How would the town know that?
I mean, they'd both be under the same corporation.
Right. No, we understand that one corporation owns, but then that you lease one of the structures out.
Sublease it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, there's always, we have to look from a
Right.
long-term plan.
But that's gonna be his
So
call.
have you looked into the cost benefit, the cost of, again, instead of trying to renovate these two, just get
Fair
rid of them
enough.
and do one building with both,
We've thought about
incorporating both
that.
areas?
We have considered that. And in a lot of ways that, I've run into some contractors that think, you know, the big buildings were Southampton. I knew going in that it wasn't gonna be, you know, a quick turnaround. We bought the property outright and we're working on it slowly. I have been running restaurants for 26 years. I'm familiar with the costs and the issues.
Well, I'm glad you came to planning board first as a work
That's-
session.
yeah.
Because we're gonna flag for you all of the potential problems that you're gonna be facing. And as a commercial structure, you're looking at standards, safety standards that are, particularly in this town, that have a high bar.
Would you have objections if we were to merge the structures, or did you want
But-
anything to the use?
But
for
what do
the
you mean by
property?
merge? Move it over?
Move it over, combine
Mhm.
them.
It might be a better idea for you than to, I mean, you're gonna have to create parking on this.
Right. We
Do
have,
we know how
There's a
many
plan,
spaces?
there's a site plan.
there's 17 parking spaces total, 15 are required for that number of seats.
I mean, you know,
15 for
ideally-
30 seats plus 40, you have 45
One per
seats, right?
3.
it's 1 per 1 3 rated occupancy. So actually, when we get to a, you know, a more detailed plan, we got to take floor plans and get a rated occupancy from the fire marshal's
Yeah,
office. They
yeah.
can say 10 or 15 seating, but it could be rated for larger than that. You know, the other side of it is, you know, if they're not historic and redesigning, just giving you your options, it does be nicer to get the parking out of
The front.
Front.
The
Yeah.
issue is right about here, it starts to slope up
Goes up.
significantly.
Yeah, it
So
does.
back here, we would either have to excavate out and do retaining walls. It's easier to put the parking with the sanitary right in the front there.
Well, if you consider demolishing the small building,
We could,
you could do your parking on the side,
right, we could do some more.
which is, you know, we want parking behind,
Right.
and that's sort of our policy, and not smack in the front. So that's a consideration, that you could line up your parking on
We
that
had an
side, west side of
alternative
it.
as a one-way in, one-way out. We have an alternative showing combined single entrance.
Mhm.
I don't know what the board.
Well, it would be nice to have one curb cut, and that's a crazy road, you
Yeah.
know, and people are parking along there, the spillover
Okay.
from Edgewood,
Edgewater.
Edgewater.
Edgewater,
That's right.
Edgewood.
Okay.
Maybe yours will be Edgewood, I don't know.
And the
Any other?
the larger building has a ground level deck. Is that, it looks like from the
Yes.
picture, is that part of your calculations, or do you think that maybe?
That would be where some of the seating is.
Are
going
you
to be
looking to
located.
expand that deck, make it bigger?
It's hard with the overlay, but it's about the same area.
I mean, to follow up on Gloria's question, which is, I think, an important one, most of your
Hard to see.
seating is outdoors.
Yeah.
So what do you do in the wintertime?
Well, there's essentially a dining room here, and we haven't seen how many that's going to hold yet. We have to see how we're going to do this whole layout. This would be, I think we could fit, 10 seats in there if we pushed it.
So transition some of the outside to the inside.
But not many,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, you
And
have
then this will
28
be-
outside.
And this other structure will be inside as well.
Yeah, that I understand.
So that'll be seating inside as well.
Yeah, so I think that in the winter, this would largely act as a sort of commissary. Hope, and if most of our seating has to be in the other building, then
And your intention is to serve clams year-round, is that it?
we don't know
Wintertime?
yet. We don't know yet.
No, but I mean, if
yeah.
the use is, I'm just trying to have a conversation
Yeah.
with you about use.
Yeah.
You know, if you're shifting, if you're preparing food there for the clam bar,
Yeah.
what does it become in wintertime?
Well, again, we don't
You
know.
haven't-
We don't
yeah.
know if there is a winter time for this. So
Right, exactly,
mean,
exactly.
Trying to get hot food across in the winter.
yeah, again, they could act as essentially commissary. We could prep everything here, bring it there. Could be finished there.
So I think what you're hearing is to really reconsider this split scene
Yeah.
that you have.
Yeah.
And either demolish that and add on to the main house and make it one unit,
Yeah.
and then you can reconfigure the park. It would be a much better layout.
And that would
I-
put the parking on the side,
Yeah, the parking would be on the
as
side.
opposed to the outside seating is looking at a parking lot.
Yeah.
Which I would not want to eat there personally.
Yeah. We
You know,
have,
single curb cut.
yeah,
Yeah, single curb
That's
cut,
fine.
go
Yep.
right in and out, yeah.
and we would plant, a whole row of trees in front of the parking from the restaurant, hopefully, to raise up enough so you would see over the cars at the water. I mean, the whole point of the whole place is the view of the ocean. So,
I often drive that way home when I'm coming from the west because that's one section where you get a view of the bay. It's very beautiful.
Yeah. And the deck is raised, a few feet above the ground. Both structures are raised a few feet above the ground. So hopefully the cars would not be a big ugly obstruction. And there's a couple houses on the other side that hopefully we can, get the trees growing to make it a little bit prettier. From our perspective, and one of the reasons why we like the idea of the two buildings is there's just a certain charm to that. Charm is, for us, it's something we don't want to lose. There's a value, sort of you can't put a value on it, when you have a favorite place, you have a favorite place you like to go. However that charm is created, sometimes people do go to that new place and they lose that. We don't want to lose that. We think there's something to the property right now, and we have a vision which we think we can carry that forward.
So it sounds like we need a determination, chief building
Yep.
inspector, whether this would be one single use or two uses.
I'll come
First
in with
start.
Sean. No problem.
And if we do need to demolish this small cabin and do it as an add-on, then we'll figure that out. Yeah. It's something we have, of course, considered.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that that's a practical
It's
solution
practical.
for you.
Yeah.
And having everything in one place from a health and safety standpoint,
And ease of staff.
and entrance in and out, parking on the west side of the lot. Okay,
The driveway, looks like you've got two. I tend to prefer if you can work with the one to the west side,
yeah,
Okay.
a little farther away from that other driveway.
For sure.
And of course, the other thing
It's
to consider
farther
is
away
that
from
they-
Edgewater.
They can do
when
one
they
with
have
moving
parking
building.
all over the street.
If you really want to just move it.
I'm sorry?
So you wonder with moving a building, if you just wanted to maintain that building, but move it closer and link it to the other building.
This
It might
one.
be cheaper
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To
Yeah,
make
so-
it
Depends
from
what
Chuck
the
it over
structure's
After
like.
having moved a big dock, I can tell you that they do a lot. They
Get
do
you out there,
wonders
Sean.
with-
Yeah.
with
If you have to bring it up to
moving
code, sometimes it doesn't pay.
okay, did you get enough guidance from us?
Thank you.
Thanks very much for
Thanks
coming
very
in.
much.
Thank you.
It's
Appreciate
good to come in and
And get it
before you
early.
really get
Yeah,
too
that's
far
right.
along.
Thanks, Lisa.
As far as the concept and as far as the usage, it's
The use itself, restaurant use
It
is,
meets the-
Yeah.
it meets the
It's
zoning,
permitted.
Right.
Thank you. So we'll close the
Thank
work
you.
session and go into the regular session. And we'll take Teresa,
Ah,
St.
Lisa,
George,
Do you want to say?
St. George Camp.
Yeah, save it.
Lisa, here's another one.
Yes.
That was good.
You'll need them again.
Hi, good morning or afternoon. So attached is a resolution and the draft report which we had discussed briefly last meeting. At the last meeting, Jim Hume, the applicant's agent, indicated that they had some concerns with respect to the recommendations that were in the draft report. Specifically, the recommendation from engineering about the water main location being
Can you
shown.
bring it up? please?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Is Jim here? Is he
I
online?
don't see him here.
Kevin, has Jim, is he coming in by Zoom?
I hadn't heard one way or the other.
I don't see a Jim on Zoom.
You don't? Okay.
So it's these two lots. They're making this lot in yellow slightly smaller to 20,000 square feet to increase the size of this larger lot. His concerns were specifically the location of the water main being shown on the survey, in accordance with the recommendations of the, town engineer, and then also the conservation board's, comments with respect to the tree inventory. And I'm sorry, I gave you guys all my copies of the, report. So I don't have it in front of me.
Two extras right here. Oh.
So those were his two main concerns. We did receive one additional set of comments on the project, which I believe was from the health department, which just said that they'll need health department need to meet health department requirements. So again, the only two major concerns were the location of the proposed utilities being shown, so that there's confirmation that no easements were required across the proposed lot 1, which is this lot highlighted in yellow. And then also the recommendation by the conservation board on whether the trees with a diameter of breast height of 12 inches or greater should be shown and preserved where possible.
So Teresa, why do they have an issue with showing the hydrant? I don't.
It's not necessarily the hydrant, it's the location of the utilities.
The service lines.
The service lines.
Yeah, going to the houses.
Right.
So where would?
So, and at the end of the day, there is currently a project plan that's been conditionally approved by the conservation board, which we had discussed previously. The expanded buffer needed to be shown on the subdivision map, but there's a conditional approval, and that conditional approval should, in theory, show the water lines. I don't have it in front of me, the initial submission, but I would assume that plan had the location of the utilities on there, which would confirm whether or not there need to be an easement on proposed lot 1. So if you don't want to have the subdivision map revised to show the location, maybe perhaps he could just submit a copy of the conditionally approved project plan so that we can confirm and have something in the record confirming that that's the case, that it's not on proposed lot 1. Is that something you would rather do rather than having the subdivision map revised?
In other words, they don't want to show the proposed utility lines?
Yeah.
I think that should be shown.
And
Do you have the site plan?
I don't know if I have the site plan up. Hold on one
I
second.
think the issue really is
what was their issue? I'm
You
sort
don't
of
wanna- in
remembering
other
they
words,
didn't
we
want to
wouldn't-
go
He didn't
back.
want
They didn't want
to
to go
revise
back
the
and pay for
map
another
so that.
survey.
Was it a cost issue with the survey being shown?
Well, he sent an email which I had forwarded to you.
He did.
It says it's a boundary lot line modification. They're not creating new lots, therefore there will be no change in circumstances around the project, and the installation of the main would be costly. Hold on, wait a minute.
Installation
I
of the
thought his-
main. but
Installation
we're
of the main. Hold on, that's
Yeah.
not what I think.
I thought
that-
his email talked about installation at the main,
Which is not what we're
saying-
asking for, right?
Right, that's not what the highway, the engineer asked for. Let me just double check what the engineer asked for. He asked for the depiction of the FEMA, which is fine, the depiction of the existing utilities for proposed lot 2, the existing utilities on proposed lot 2, which would be this lot. So there are already existing utilities, and he just wants to confirm that they're not taking access over, going over this
Right.
lot
Right.
because they are held in joint ownership. So it was just a matter of confirming whether or not there were utilities on the vacant lot.
Right.
So maybe Jim misconstrued the.
Yeah.
Perhaps, yeah.
And it seems the issue of that was that if they did cross that lot, you'd require easement.
That's correct.
Which becomes part of the subdivision plan.
Correct. So
So
I'm
that seems
remembering
reasonable.
from, I think from the last meeting, some applicant was saying they didn't want to pay for another survey.
that was that's another application we'll
Okay.
discuss
I
That
later.
was the boat
Yeah.
storage, right?
Yes, the boat storage. So in this particular instance, on the draft report, you'll see item number 4 was the location of the utilities shown, so that we can verify no easements were required. So do you want to have the subdivision map revised to show the location of the existing utilities, or would submitting the survey that has been conditionally approved by the conservation board would that be sufficient? to demonstrate that the utilities are already in place and not on lot one.
Typically, it's on the site
Yeah.
plan, right?
You want on the survey? Okay.
It's not that
And,
difficult.
and I think your
It's not such a
recommendation,
big deal.
you're asking for
Well,
proposed
one of those
utilities.
Yeah.
Engineer was asking for existing utilities.
That's correct, and that's what this says. Oh,
You said proposed utilities.
yes, I'm sorry, I apologize for that. It should see the existing utilities.
Instead of proposed existing, yeah.
Okay. And then the number 9, the recommendation by the Conservation Board to identify trees on proposed lot 1, which is this vacant parcel highlighted in yellow, with a DBH greater than 12 inches and preservation as possible, to the maximum extent possible.
I mean,
Do we have
we-
clearing limits on that? Are there clearing limits? on
There
that?
are
No.
no clearing limits, and technically it appears that it should be outside of the town's wetland permitting jurisdiction. Let me just confirm that.
Do we have an adopted tree plan?
no.
A small portion of the lot would be within jurisdiction of the town regulated wetlands, so
The problem with trying to preserve individual trees is that if there's a storm, you've created a violation. You know, you're showing like 12 trees of certain caliber. After the storm, there's 7 trees. And now, what are they to do? They're in violation. Those 12 trees don't exist anymore. There's only 7. What we do is we can identify an area, non-disturbance area, where supposedly if there are trees there, they can't disturb them.
right. But again, I guess that's part of the question. Do you want to have the trees shown on the subdivision map? And once they are shown, can they be protected via an easement or something of that nature?
So
looks
they've
like-
identified large trees.
Yes,
It looks
they
like
have
they can identify them. Sure, it looks like they're primarily massed in the rear of the property, but it looks like it's pretty treed.
I have been there. They're very large trees there.
And,
So, I
yeah,
mean, if they identify them, but we can't, where could you move the cursor, Teresa, where those trees are currently located?
There are some very large trees here, and then
Rear.
some here. Hold on.
I mean, the other issue with identifying individual trees for preservation, Dennis, is that, now if somebody wants to build a house on there, and there's trees
Well, it can't be
within
in
the
the,
area.
you can't be in the building
in the building
envelope.
envelope, then what, you're forcing, the person is forced to, I don't know,
is that building that's crossing the line?
It's not on the property line, no.
that's just a.
And I
But
believe
there has to be a building envelope on that second lot, right?
Yeah, well, I believe this is part of the redevelopment plan, that this is gonna be demolished and there's gonna be some additions over here, but, perhaps, our attorney Kelly Doyle can speak to that, because she's the attorney for the Conservation Board.
I mean, it's an area where, on a smaller lot, where we want to impose a non-disturbance buffer, that is more practical, rather than identifying trees,
It's R20.
you know?
Mhm.
If it's on the edge, maybe,
This side.
We
we have to
can, we
see-
can preserve the whole rear of the property, as if it were a buffer zone.
but you have to provide for access. How is the access?
Yeah,
How
where
do-
is
It's
the
off of St.
access?
George's Place here. Access,
I couldn't find it in that aerial.
you have to come down Franklin and then to St. George's. You can see the larger picture here.
Yeah, I know.
This
St.
is
George's.
the church. I forget what the name of the
Yeah.
church is, and St. John's, I believe. And then you would turn here. There's a church here and a church here, and there's a shared parking lot up here. And then you would come down here Franklin and then turn onto St. George's.
And how does it get into the property? That's because you don't see
There
it
is a
from the
driveway
aerial.
currently that goes through Lot 1.
So
And,
that,
and it would be relocated as part of the redevelopment project plan, which I can get access to from my login, but we're not logged in under me, so I can.
why wouldn't we want to
Share.
We're not-
retain that driveway, Teresa?
Their project redevelopment plan doesn't call for that at this moment in time. I believe they're proposing a garage or something over here. I'm not 100% certain. Again, I haven't looked at the redevelopment plan in several weeks.
So we have questions, right, on that? Is that one of your highlighted questions?
It is. It's how you want to proceed with that question, with that recommendation.
Where is that?
The last one, 9 on page 5.
I mean, maybe we could modify the language in Lot 9 as recommended comes by the Conservation Board. Trees with large diameter need to be identified, and with the idea of imposing a non-disturbance buffers.
Yeah, that's
rather
good
than do an
language.
inventory of the specific trees. Right.
That's good language.
Okay,
Got that?
hold on one second. Hold on one second. Claire, because this is a lot line modification and this is the adoption of the report, would you authorize the transfer at the next meeting?
Yeah, if they get you a plan that meets all these requirements.
Sure.
But,
Yeah.
right, but wouldn't we have to discuss whether or not a buffer is appropriate at the next meeting once they give us the plan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Jim can also go over because he's not here.
Yeah.
So there's
Let's see
no
what they
action
come up
today.
with. Well, we can adopt it.
it-
Want to adopt it as we revised it?
Yeah.
Yes, and then we can always adopt an amended report once he's gone.
Okay.
Comes back in. Okay.
So do I have a motion
gonna
to
move it.
adopt it? Moved by Dennis, second by Gloria, and all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 5 in favor, 1 absent. And Prena, you've got 13A and 15 Summit Boulevard. Oh, thank you.
Thanks, man. I'll pay it down.
But I don't hit the roof.
Thank you.
Perfect.
This is the pre-application for the 2-lot subdivision and lot line modification for 13A Summit Boulevard and 15 Summit Boulevard.
Do we have an applicant here, Prena?
No, it's Jim.
Jim
again.
also?
Yeah,
Okay.
so I don't know, he didn't say whether or not he'd be coming today. He did. I did advance him a copy of the report. It was discussed at the last meeting as a draft, and he had to leave early, and he said he had no comment. But today we're also looking at the resolution for the transfer, which I've advanced to him as well, and he didn't have any comment.
Okay.
Is this the one that had the split zoning?
It is. I'll turn it
Yeah.
on so we can see it. Yeah. So as
Yeah.
a
Remember, we were going back
Yeah,
and forth.
black and blue, which way the lots should go,
line.
right?
with the
Whether
with the
it's,
two options.
horizontal or
Whether they're
vertical.
this way.
So it's
or-
R20 on this side and R40 on the western side. And there is an easement that shows the it's a 20-foot wide flag strip giving them access to Summit Boulevard.
Okay.
This was the lot that had the two options, A and C. One showed one lot in the R20 and the R40, and then the other one has 2 lots. Option C has 2 lots crossing the zoning. The maps they're in there. At the last meeting, the board discussed option C as the preferred option.
Up
The
this-
horizontal divide.
Yeah,
Needed-
with the
needed
cut
more
going
zoning
this way,
relief,
they're
but it made
more
more
standard
sense.
lots.
Makes more sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then you've got the driveway coming in.
So since the draft discussion I made, there were some minor revisions since the last meeting, so I put the report in there. I highlighted the changes. They're pretty minimal, but the comments to the ZBA, I refreshed, briefly describing what they're proposing, and that option C is the preferred option with requiring additional zoning relief. And then I put in the, as a discussion or as a question, planning suggests it could be held to R40 lot requirements and potentially specific principal setbacks. And that road frontage relief is required, and the lot line modification would transfer the land designating 10-foot strips to each of the created lots from the subdivision.
So the R40 would have more stringent setbacks.
Yeah. They'd be undersized.
Is this option C in the packet? Not with the horizontal dividing
Yes,
line?
yeah.
This is option C.
I think I highlighted it.
Circled in
It's a
red
small,
and
is it the
yellow
one that's
highlight.
circled in red?
And yellow highlight.
This one.
Should have made it more obvious, but yes.
35,
So the
39,
comments to the
29.
ZBA were one of the items, and on page 4, I believe it is, the town highway department had responded to the referral since the last meeting, and they had no issue with the plan. In recommendation item 1, I just added the areas of both the lots in option C. They measure 29,288 square feet,
and 35,622 square feet. And I added the comment that the final map should include the 15 by 15 easement area at the west end of the flag strip for emergency vehicle access.
Can you go over that? Because emergency access was a concern of mine. Can you go over what you
Yeah,
just
that,
said again?
let me pull up.
Yeah, that's what the
I mean, if they had a
that's what the
hard,
fighting about. They asked for this 15 by 15 box, which I guess is close for it, but I'm not sure what.
you've got a 10 feet on each side of that divider.
Yeah, that's only 10 feet.
No, yeah, so the box would have to be bigger.
They should submit
With it?
that with their
Okay.
final
Yeah, I said,
application.
I
That's
put it
part of the
in, I
driveway
put it in
plan.
the recommendations.
Yeah.
Just, they need to submit that with the final map.
And the
So it's
common
option
driveway
C
plan.
with the easement for the.
Right, that should be part of the
Right.
common, they should submit a whole common driveway plan.
Supersede
And
the.
which shows that box and.
Mhm.
access.
Yeah, and
The truck that's 30 feet long.
the easement for it.
Break down
I'm
the
gonna pull up the map up here just so we could look at it a little bit
That's okay.
larger and discuss it. So what we're talking about is, I have it in the report as option C is preferred, but they would add an easement here.
Right, they'd
You
each
know,
have to give themselves an
That they
easement.
could each get in and out, so it's not this
10
sort of
10 foot.
awkward divide, no plantings or nothing
Yeah.
differentiating between the two. And
Hard
then
structure.
that gives them the vehicle access, the
And
emergency.
then give
vehicle
each other a
access.
10-foot easement on each side of that line.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think it'll end up being larger than 15 by 15 is the point.
Yeah.
I think they would just take advantage of this whole end here and put the easement in.
That
So
makes
I'll just
sense.
make sure when the final comes in that we look at that.
Do you want to say a minimum of 15 by 15 or just take out the,
I believe.
you say the final?
Well, right now, they
I-
have 20,
Yeah, I could say minimum.
A minimum,
Yeah. Thank you. And on the next page, item 5, well, just before it, we talk about the landscape buffers, 25-foot buffers along the west and south property lines of the existing parcel, all along here and here. So for number 5, I added that the applicant is to submit a landscape plan at the final subdivision application. And that was really all the revisions to the report.
Do you just want to indicate where the buffers are, just
Here, it just
directionally?
says 20.
Yeah, and the line above it, item 4, I believe, calls. Yeah, it says south and west property lines of the existing parcel regardless of the final subdivision layout,
South
at a
and
width of
west.
25 feet.
It's a nice report.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yes, because you're gonna reference
Yeah,
this
reference in the
report
report.
in your transcript.
So the resolution for the land transfer references the report, so it would have to be adopted before we get into the land transfer.
The report has to be adopted.
Yeah,
Okay,
So 2 steps.
Yeah.
yeah, so let's do that now,
okay, yeah.
okay? So a motion to adopt the pre-app
Motion.
report, motion by George, second
Second.
by Gloria, and all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 5 in favor, 1 absent. And then,
And then the land transfer, it's pretty straightforward. Lot line modification of 13A and 15 Summit Boulevard in West Hampton, situated in the R20 and R40 zoning districts and the New York State Archaeological Sensitive Area. Describe the applicant's lot at 13A Summit as vacant with an existing accessory structure, and 15 has, it measures 64,910 square feet, and then 15 Summit Boulevard measures 30,400 square feet with a single-family dwelling and accessory structures. The proposed lot line modification is for the 20-foot right-of-way. Deeded flagpole of land, which is about 3,000 square feet from 15 Summit to 13A. The final map will show designated 10-foot strip land of that strip given to each of the created lots from the subdivision. It's a type 2 action pursuant to SECRA. The hearing was held on June 27th. It was closed with a 10-day
period. There were comments received at the hearing as well as in writing. The board considered the report today, and it references the public comments as well as responses from various agencies. For the findings, I have health department approval, the monuments located at each corner and at each change in direction of the boundary. Phase 1A, 1B archaeological report will be required for any further development and or improvement. I brought up the public hearing again with the comments received, and that the description of 13A vacant with an accessory structure and the flag strip to be dedicated so that they both legally own 10-foot width of each side. And there are currently 2 parcels of land, and 2 will exist following the transfer, creating no new lots or nonconformities. And the proposed transfer meets the criteria for review and approval of the transfer plan pursuant to the code. And the planning board waives the requirement for further subdivision review. And further, the board authorizes the transfer as described, subject to the following conditions: the health department approval of the monuments, the submission of 3 of the draft deeds prior to filing or recording, the execution of the transfer of via 3 deeds for executing the land transfer and 2 confirmatory deeds, a covenant requiring no further subdivision unless approved by the board, and 3-inch drainage, title certifications, mortgage consent, if applicable, C of Os for both properties, town attorney approval of all legal documents, and 10 copies of the transfer map for signature, and then of course the submission of the deeds to be filed with the Suffolk County clerks.
Why is the planning board waiving the requirement for further subdivision? I've never seen
It
that.
meets the code for that.
Typically, we say no further subdivision then, or if there is subdivision,
Without
there
planning.
is
board.
without
This is
planning
for the
board
lot line
approval.
transfer.
But we never use that language here by
Are you
waive.
talking about in the,
Is it this one resolved? The
yeah,
planning
I
board
don't know.
waived the requirements for-
you're
This
talking
is-
about that resolved?
So just so
Yeah.
you know, Jackie, technically speaking, she's referencing the section of the code that talks about waiving further subdivision review that we apply to lot line changes. There is that section of the code that says it in there. So there's no harm in referencing it. She probably brought that from another resolution that had it in there at one point. Or it could be removed, it doesn't make a difference.
Never
It's one
seen
of
it.
Oh, really?
We waive it, you know.
the- So you can take it out if they want.
Okay.
Okay, so we have to adopt this, right? Claire, do you have something to say?
Yeah, I'm gonna say, leave it.
Yeah, have-
Leave it anywhere.
Because
This is only referencing this transfer, you're authorizing it to happen.
You do have a
Right.
You're
subdivision component.
waiving it for this instance, not for the further instance of the 2-lot subdivision. You have to waive
Right,
the
yeah.
further review, otherwise you are gonna require final application for just
For the
some
lot line,
portion.
yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah,
we're
and you
referring,
can say, continue this just for this portion,
okay, let's add that.
yeah,
Okay.
and then obviously the other, I don't know which one's which, 15 is the larger lot, I guess.
The 15 is the one on the road.
Yeah,
There's a-
15 is the one on the
13.
road, so it would, 13A is gonna continue to be part of the subdivision, you can make a finding to that effect, yeah.
Okay, I can add that.
Okay.
Did you have any other comments?
Anybody?
Or edits?
So we're adopting this now with those changes?
Yes, please, and I can make the changes and you can adopt them
Everybody
Add it.
good with that? Okay.
Yep.
So I need a motion to adopt.
Motion.
Motion by Dennis, second by Tom, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 5 in favor, 1 absent.
Good night.
Thank you. Yeah. Seth, you're up with Jeff Auerbach, 27 Hearn Place.
think
So I'm not sure if Mr. Benincasa is on Zoom or whereabouts he might be.
Kevin, is anyone on Zoom for this application?
Staple in the, it's double-sided and stapled in this. Check it.
There it is.
If he does it,
If you flip
I
it
believe one
over,
for the-
makes more sense if you flip it.
I have one extra, you need?
No, we have,
Kelly, you want?
we have separate plans.
Drawing, it's breeze from the northwest. That's crazy. It's so stuffy here.
I have to say, I drove down Hearn Place Monday afternoon
Following the rains?
after the rain.
Oh my.
And the woods were actually flooded. The road was flooded. I very, very carefully, very slowly made it through the giant puddles.
So, yes, that is a big concern and something we will be discussing as we dig into this project. Before you, 27 Hearn Place. It is zoned R15. We are looking at a proposed two-lot subdivision. One lot with a square footage of 20,794, the second lot with 19,185. 27 Hearn Place is part of the Roses Grove Section D, which was approved in 1926, October 21. It was originally 4 lots, lots 21 through 24. What we have here is a site that is completely wooded, vacant, has significant slopes going down towards Hearn Place. And we also have a freshwater wetland or vernal pond in the northern section, as you will see in the yield map I presented to you. Furthermore, it is in the archaeological sensitive area and the groundwater management zone 4. I have presented you with a pre-application report, which I would like to go through. Again, site description, wooded, undeveloped, freshwater wetland. Those are the major considerations before you. The site, as I mentioned, was 4 lots in the surrounding area. You can see there to the northwest, that would be a single lot of the Roses Grove and is currently a single lot. And then to the southeast, that is an old 3 lots. So there is a mixture of different sizes in the area. Something for your consideration. The requested action is a standard 2-lot subdivision. Again, they would meet the R15 criteria of above 15,000 at 20,794 and 19,185. I would like to discuss the wetlands and the slope characteristics on this site. The original yield maps that were submitted to the Planning Division depicted a depression along the northern property line.
Could you identify north, south, east, and west?
Yes, sorry.
And we're looking at the plan here.
Yeah.
You have it there in
Matches up
front of you. So that would be, when I say the north, yeah, it's seen as its triangle. I'm thinking along Hearn Place.
Okay.
So this area here is a significant sized wetland that was only determined upon site inspection. Once I had seen the standing water and the plants that were indicative of a wetland, I had Marty Shea, the chief environmental analyst, go out, and he was happy to flag it as well, since he was going out that way. Since then, the applicant has revised their yield map to reflect the subtraction of that wetland area. You'll see the skewed line there on the southern end, I'll say.
Where it angles in? you
Yes,
mean?
that's the deduction
Maybe
from
you
the.
can put it up there.
I
Do you have it?
I do. Just bear with me for a moment. Where are we?
Carl is on Zoom.
Oh, you're there, Carl. Welcome.
Ah.
So we have one revised from this, right?
Oh, yes, that's prior to the revision. The applicant, right, that was the straight line, and then they had moved it. Let me see if I have.
Yeah, we had to adjust it to remove the wetlands from lot area.
This one doesn't even show
That's
it.
not the, that's just a survey.
Okay.
That's not it.
Nope, I'll find it eventually here.
Want me to hold that?
No, we have a copy.
We have one in front of us, we just wanted to have it on the screen as well.
Yeah. Where on earth? Well, I have to say it's in here, but pre-application report. Revised yield? Yeah. Is that what I just pulled up?
That's
Alright.
it.
Okay.
Can you rotate that 90 degrees so it matches up to how we're looking at it? Okay,
Yeah,
great,
that's
thanks.
the orientation.
This good?
Yeah.
Good job.
Okay. Kind of like
Okay, so now we're becoming,
I was looking at that, so sorry.
yeah, going north and running along Hearn Place. So there on your left, you would see there's a wetland that's running alongside Hearn Place Road. I believe you've seen quite a few photos that have been submitted through the public comment period. And at any rate,
Seth, what's the exclusion for slope areas in the zone?
there is an exclusion. It has not been accounted for, but anything under 20,000 square feet should be, any slopes over greater than 20% would be excluded from the yield map as
So
well.
we should
This
that hasn't been shown
It
yet.
has not been shown.
Okay, so that's something
No.
we'd want to see.
It certainly would further restrict the
That lot.
The lot.
Because the
Absolutely.
buildable,
Are you saying that you determined this, or you were asking us to show that it's not?
I have determined with by scaling that there are slopes over 20%.
Can you show us that?
No, the survey will
yeah.
show it.
Well, I'd like to see, if it's gonna be in this report, I'd like to see something.
Well, I think when
Those are
in the
topo
report,
lines,
we're gonna ask for a depiction of any
topo.
slopes greater than 20%.
That's fine, I just don't want the report to determine.
No, I don't think we made a determination.
No, these were just calculations that I performed.
so the wetlands as they've been mapped now, Seth.
Yes.
Reduces that lot. Is that lot one? Yeah.
Yes.
Well, actually both, but it impacts lot one to hardly a buildable lot, right?
That, as we
the
move through this
conclusion.
report, will be the major
conclusion.
conclusion. So we can drill down on that a little bit here.
We have a Cracker Jack surveyor found 2%, 15,000, 2%.
Yeah.
Well worth his fee.
So I will move on to the town code. The proposed subdivision does not meet the standards under town code chapter 292, the subdivision of land, or under town code chapter 325, wetlands. 292-39B suggests that the planning board, to the maximum extent practicable, preserve existing wetlands. It furthermore calls out that no building envelope should be closer than 100 feet landward of the wetland boundary. That 100 feet for turf, fertilized vegetation, or clearing of natural vegetation, 125 feet for structures, and 150 feet for sanitary systems. That would preclude lot 1 and lot 2 from any buildable envelope. Furthermore, there would be no ability to put in a septic system with those 150-foot setbacks. That would leave an area here and a slight area back here. So taking these setbacks into account, both the proposed lots fail to provide a buildable envelope.
If I
Carl?
can be heard on this section. Importantly,
Carl, can you state your name for the record, please?
sorry, Carl Benacasa, 860 Montauk Highway, Waterloo, New York, to the applicant. There's really three things that need to be considered with respect to the town code and wetlands. One, as it's noted in the report, the setbacks are applied where practical. In this circumstance, those setbacks would be impracticable, and the conservation board would likely determine, as you know, they can't just say you can't build on it. They would be revised building envelopes and compromise setbacks based on what is practicable in the given lot, provided the yield remains. Two, we haven't, this, as you know, this referral and the report that followed were done without opportunity of the applicant to speak up. We are currently in the process of consulting with the chief building inspector. We're approaching him about reconsidering the wetlands line. We've had two private flaggings done, both limit the wetland to that first, the lowest grade, the lowest line of relief line on the map. And then finally, we had a test hole done actually within what ultimately became the wetlands line, and it showed that groundwater was not present for up to 5 feet. So I think there are solid grounds for contesting the conservation board's wetland or the chief environmental analyst's wetland determination, or at least working with him on a compromise line, which has been done in the past. And that certainly would impact, one, the amount of opportunity for buildability, even if we're unable to do that. As you know, the setbacks set forth in the code are subject to compromise when they're not practical. So I think that everything cited is accurate, and in fact it says we're practical in the report. But I think taking the line that says the lots are left with no building envelopes to allow for any structures is appropriate, because that is not necessarily the case.
Carl, I have to somewhat disagree with your the language of practicability. That language would come into play if you were going to try and cite one structure on that lot. Now, as you're correct, the conservation board cannot regulate you out of being creating a building envelope. But when we create new building envelopes, we have to create building envelopes that comply with the wetlands code. It's not a question we have a tight lot, so we can sort of move septic structures and violate the setbacks of those codes. You have to submit a map that shows compliance with the wetlands code, if for new lots, not for existing lots.
So let me just weigh in on the tail end of Dennis's remarks. You know, I appreciate the fact that you want to look at Marty Shea's wetland calculations, although it's highly unusual. Marty's been doing it for dozens of years and certainly knows what he's doing. Every now and then a parcel comes up, Carl, that is just so impacted by wetlands that it defies subdivision, and particularly with climate change, we're seeing more and more flooding. And as Gloria noticed, she drove by, did a site visit, it was flooded. And so I think you need to talk to your client to take into consideration what we're talking about, because we can't deviate from the wetlands code. That's a mandate of the planning board with the conservation board, and that's what it is. So.
I appreciate that. Two things. One, there have been instances where Marty has compromised. on being confronted with evidence contrary to his plan. I'm familiar, so yes, he's very experienced, yes, he's very good at what he does, but certainly he's open to reevaluation. Two, the rainfall that Maureen saw was in the wake of some of the most torrential downpours we've had in memory. So I think that was a bit of an outlier of flooding issues. But I do appreciate the board's position.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with as an outlier, because what we're hearing and seeing is that these kind of rains are regularly occurring.
But that sort of rain is regular that we saw the other night?
No, but the kind of increased rainfall is, we're not in a prediction situation here.
Yeah.
What we're dealing with is a wetland, a property with some serious wetlands. So, and you have a right to review Marty's,
We do, yes.
yeah, and so if that's what you want to do, this is our report. I think the board stands by this report.
I mean, do we want to say in the planning issues, that what first applicant should submit a plan depicting slopes, and what is it, excess of 20?
Excess of 20%.
I think
20%?
Yeah.
And applicant should submit a revised sketch showing compliance, building envelopes and setbacks in compliance with the.
So actually have the building envelopes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sketch it,
they're gonna have to
just
figure that out.
demonstrate to us that,
That it is
that these
buildable.
houses can,
and
these lots can be
If you want to
built.
do that, that's fine.
and that
Yeah.
may, that can come back after you resolved or
Yeah.
not resolve any issues with the plan with the
Wetland.
flagging and
You're right, that's right.
and other things too.
That's between them and the
Yeah.
council.
Right.
That doesn't shut the door, doesn't extinguish anyone's right.
So if we can take the line out that no building envelopes and just require us to demonstrate building envelopes.
Yeah, demonstrate,
Yes.
show the structure, the
Right.
septic, and
Sure.
with the setbacks to what may be a new wetlands line, I don't know what you'll
And
resolve
also
for.
make sure the surveyor shows the 20%.
Steep
the presence of
slopes.
Yeah,
any-
yeah,
if any
we have that.
20% slopes and
The
stuff.
slope.
I'm just saying that
That's
first.
totally-
Okay,
So if I'm hearing you, we're gonna remove, taking these back to the path that proposed, left with no building envelopes, and just say applicant shall demonstrate,
Right,
that the that.
yeah, it might be
building
better,
envelope is available given the affirmation set.
Yeah. that might be better language, Seth, rather than
a
making
conclusion,
that finding,
Okay.
which we really
because
can't
it's
do.
still in
It
negotiation.
allows the applicant to come back and
Yeah,
provide
that's
further
all I'm
submission.
asking.
Okay.
I'm not challenging you on the code and the standard, I just
Okay,
Yep.
want an opportunity to prove we can do it.
Okay.
you have a challenge, okay, Carl? That's-
All right, I'll move to adopt the
Move
report
to
as
adopt the
amended.
report as amended by Dennis, second by Tom, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 5 in favor, 1 absent. Thanks, thank you, Carl. Thank you,
Thanks,
Seth.
Carl.
Thank you, Carl, and I will stay on.
So that could be a person.
So the next application is for a
John,
covenant,
John Gold.
yes, covenant amendment. And Carl should stick around, that was his.
It's Ann Ryan.
It's still on, or?
I will.
Carl,
Welcome back.
Kevin, can you get him back?
No. All right, well,
Oh,
Well, we'll
no.
just deal with it.
maybe he's saving his client some money.
What do you need?
Well, I need him to explain the details of this. It's
Can
rather
we-
convoluted, but
all
I
right, so
will
let's-
explain it to my best.
Well, why don't you wait? Why don't you call him, tell him we need him
Okay.
back, and we'll hold off on this and we'll go to,
Do you have the actual covenant?
The actual one, I do have it with me, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean,
These are just the amendments, right?
but let council see the original.
I should do that.
Okay. So we're going to, by the way, number 6 is off the agenda.
Which is 7
Mill Farm Lane. Claire, you want to do Loaves and Fishes?
Yeah, that's simply an extension.
Oh, but that's,
of the
just an
extension.
extension,
Yeah,
okay.
the actual deadline is September 10th. We're still waiting the town engineer to sign off on
September
that one.
12, 10?
12.
12.
12.
Okay, motion for an
Motion.
extension by Gloria,
Second.
second by George, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 5 in favor, 1 absent.
And then 12 Foster
Yeah, 12 Foster.
is to release the maintenance bond for the landscaping on that.
Okay, how much is that?
I have a resolution.
This one. Yeah, I just want to see
$4,600.
Okay. Okay, motion for that
Motion.
by Dennis, second by George. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 5 in favor, 1 absent. Anthony?
I've been in contact with Paul. He knows to come back.
Okay.
So I'm gonna do mine and then Bill.
because I need to look at this.
Okay.
to understand
So you're gonna do 200 West Montauk, Anthony?
it. Are we under a deadline? Yeah, just put it on. Adjourn it.
Oh, that's the 2 restaurants,
Tell Carl.
right?
No.
Thank you.
No, this
Oh,
is
we
that
did
long,
Which
long
one is this?
narrow.
Oh, okay. 200,
Property.
okay.
This is the one, I think, next to McDonald's.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
Yeah,
Alright.
okay.
What is it?
Oh, it's in the
Which
skinny.
one?
Number 12 is also off the
we
agenda.
Attached this is the
By the way-
staff report and the resolution that both attached.
Anthony, are we doing 911 today? or
No.
Number 12 is off the agenda.
12 is off.
9/11, what?
9/11.
So,
So that's correct, Dennis. This is right next to the McDonald's.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah, it's that.
Oh, it's that skinny?
That
Yeah, it's that
long
skinny one, so
with all the different
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
businesses.
yeah, yeah.
Liquor repair for
Yeah,
years
yeah,
and
yeah.
years.
Now it's being a nail salon and something else.
Yep, nail salon, some other retail, and then offices on the second floor.
So we have a cross-access issue.
So,
right?
well, yeah, I'll go through
You'll
that just so
get
the
that,
board
okay.
knows. And then this is this portion of the property is highway business. You know, you stop and shop back here at the McDonald's. The rest of this back here is in the R40. None of that's being disturbed or proposed, remains. They're going to expand the parking lot, redo the parking lot as part of this application. Their clearing is still under the 35% that they're allowed. They are going to, and I'll show you the plan, they do show the cross-access with this adjacent site. This was built up to the property line, and they are showing that they are going to connect. The only thing is, and the applicant's aware of it, but you can sort of see this where it is right at the point where the drive-through comes in.
Yeah.
And it just, this is where it was built, and that's where it is. So the plan does show that the connection is going to go there. And then
You could always jog. But
Yeah.
Anthony, are they dividing this property at all?
no. It's
So
just
the
using-
back piece, they're just going to leave?
It just stays, yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't have any be difficult
Yeah,
property to do
not-
anything with.
anyway.
What's the width?
The width
No.
is,
It's like 40 feet. Right?
It's as skinny as that?
50 feet.
50 feet. It's pretty narrow.
So.
Yeah, I mean,
And by the way, we are
I
aware
said
of all the
that was a
trucks and activities on that property not supposed to be there, so it's in the resolution.
Oh, good.
Okay.
It's in the resolution, I'm not supposed to be there. So they do show you the expanded parking lot in the back. It goes before the existing clearing limit. They show the dumpsters back there. The site's sort of a bit of a mess right now, so hopefully this cleans it up. They are showing some internal we have a landscaping plan for the internal here, and they do show some more around the building to help spruce it up. In here is pretty good. I think this is all filled in here. It's an existing driveway.
So how about the circulation there? Those cars can back out and,
It is a 24.2 feet, so it actually is a full
Enough.
24 feet. So that's what we would normally, because we would ask in a double row parking 24, but even 2 of them is what we normally get. So the 24 feet is good back there, and then you can see where the cross access is coming in. I left the question open. If we wanted to show a future cross access with this site without really honing in where it
Without
will be,
building it,
because
yeah.
so many things would happen there.
What's directly west of there, do you know? Large vacant parcel.
Looks like it.
Yeah, it's also split zoned. Actually, let me just check
The
something.
R40 and highway.
R40 in the back, and actually, it looks like it's preserved.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, it's preserved.
is it town?
I'll tell you right now. That's the town of Southampton, the Community Preservation Fund.
So
So
you
we
don't
don't
have-
have to worry about crossing.
So we don't have
Oh,
to
good,
cross that.
okay.
Well,
Must be
So I
a
guess we don't
trail.
need
we
to
should
worry.
put a trail in.
There you go.
Well, there's walking tracks, from the Stop and Shop that go across, right? There's
Yeah.
walkways going across.
Yeah,
So
for
you
sure.
can make it into a trail.
So the first one here is just the report, describe what the action is. So it looks like it's, first floor, it's gonna be home furnishings and a nail salon, and then the second floor, offices, unfinished basement. This was a type 2 action, so no further environmental review. We had a public hearing in April, we closed it with a 10-day. We did receive comments from the CAC, which on the second page are summarized. They would like more trees left up if possible. There's not much left within the business portion of the site, and we are going to keep up all the existing vegetation.
And they're
in the
not,
front.
they're not doing anything to the property about, we wish more trees were left up.
Yeah, I mean, they are expanding the parking lot, but they're going up to, we're closer to the zoning line, actually, but it's still under the 35% that they could get. Actually, they could go up to 50%.
What, we should require trees in the vegetated
So-
areas in the parking.
So
trees.
I make a recommendation there they show our eastern red cedar, and I recommend red maple trees. in
Yes,
there.
so
you'll-
create some shade.
Yeah, for sure. That's exactly what we're going to do. Again, they talked about the construction equipment and trucks, which I'm aware of. And they would like to have some condition that there be no overnight storage of trucks. We're not going to have any storage of trucks on there, so that's the
Not with
condition.
these uses.
Not with
right?
those uses, so. Department of Fire Prevention chimed in. They do just note that the existing driveway along the east side of the building shall be designated a fire zone. That's pretty typical. And then the rest of it are the standard requirements, and this always goes back to the fire marshal at the time of building permit. So they make sure that fire signs and all that stuff are also here too. Town engineer gave a bunch of comments. They've been forwarded to the applicant already, actually, so they could at least get started. Just some engineering typical requirements, so they've been incorporated into this. The DPW has come in with, they're going to want some work done out here. And the applicant is aware of it. So they'll have to do some sidewalk work. They're going to have to do new ADA compliant ramps at the driveway access. Have to do some new resurfacing of the access. They want a proper stop sign, and they want a stop bar.
Where do they want the stop sign?
I have to go back and look. Often they don't give you specifics because they get referred to them again.
So it's cut and paste, is it?
For most part.
What's
the
a stop-
axis.
What's a stop bar?
The painted line across the road.
That's correct.
The white
It's a
sign that
painted-
they get from you.
So that's, my guess is that's what they're going to want. Something in here and then a sign, that's, try to prevent people from just, I don't know. They try to they've gotten to the point where they're understanding that we're sort of in a jam here with the traffic and trying to get out of these places.
When they're
So-
asking for a stop sign just at the edge of the building, so when you come out, you kind of have to stop and look at traffic exiting McDonald's, all right?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, okay, hold on.
Does that join, George? It's McDonald's?
Yeah,
Come in there?
I
McDonald's,
think there's
that's
a right
McDonald's
turn only
exit
out of there, right? Anthony, right turn only?
Yes.
No, you see right where the edge of the building where their driveway comes out, right there. Maybe they're asking for a stop sign
That's
there.
the McDonald's driver?
This
Yeah,
one, to
that's the
left here,
McDonald's
this on
driveway,
this
right where
side.
his cursor is.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm assuming
See,
there's
drive
some
through
sort of
the-
easement for
Yeah,
them to
yeah.
get out, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We could confirm. I
That's
certainly-
crazy.
Yeah.
At the access onto County Road 80, or I guess that's the question.
That's
Where do
the
they want
question.
the stop
Oh,
sign?
right there. I'm thinking right at the edge of it. Who knows? They'll figure.
I could get clarification
They
from.
would need
we'll get
clarification.
clarification.
Yeah.
It just says at access, right? So I suspect it's
Well,
going
the
to be
access, it's gonna be one way, right? We don't want vehicles going into the site from there.
That's correct. That's correct. So when we get to the conditions, Dennis, remind me to include things that may not have been included in there.
You have to remind him.
It might be in there, but you never know.
Well,
Never know,
posted.
there's a lot in there.
What did,
It is true.
you
So they'd
can't
actually have to come
enter the
take access
building,
from over
the,
here.
the property? I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
confused by
yeah,
what
yeah,
I
yeah.
thought I heard.
I think
you
Dennis
say.
is saying
Yeah.
no left turns out of the
Yeah, no
site.
left turn.
No,
Yeah, if you
no,
want to
no.
head west, you go to the signalized.
Yeah,
You can easily loop
Well,
around.
that's exactly right.
yeah, because it goes
But is
behind
that all
McDonald's.
cleared? Is that a road under there?
Yeah, it is. It's under
Oh,
the
I see, I
trees.
see, I
You
see.
see the blacktop.
So it has an arrow going?
Yeah, the road is there.
People should go to this site to the site next door. Is where they should be going to get out to that traffic light.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, but we should put the no left turn,
Yes.
as
Yeah.
typical, and hope that all the good planning that we do works.
Can you go down Montauk Highway just a little bit? I want to see how far those sidewalks extend.
Right.
They do.
Actually, it goes through the west.
Yeah, there.
No, that's dirt. That is dirt.
You're looking at the sidewalk, Tom?
Yeah, I just wanted to see how far it extended. My memory was that we
Right there.
tried.
It's right there.
Right there.
Right, okay. My memory was we tried to extend it, but we couldn't because it was CPF money.
CPF money.
Ah, there you
So
go.
we weren't allowed to extend it any further.
Yeah, I mean, the DPW is gonna require what's there to be fixed and
Fixed.
redone, but they're not gonna
But
make
it
one
ends,
stand, yeah.
it's gonna end there.
The ARB reviewed this project. There's not much change to this. It's in,
To
in
the building?
contemplation. Yeah. So I just got to put the date in there. I just forgot. The site plan standards, traffic. The access drive is existing. The parking is going to be enhanced and more formalized, and the sidewalks along Montauk Highway are going to be changed per the DPW. We're going to get the cross access over here. So I think traffic and circulation is as good as it's going to get on this site. That's B2, internal circulation. So they do need to redo their parking calculations. They have more parking than they really need. They based it on 1 per 150, not per 1 per 180. So if they, the possibility that maybe they could eliminate some of the parking and maybe keep up some more trees.
Put more trees.
That certainly is an option then. Page, what's this, page 5, landscaping and screening. So they did give a landscaping plan. They're showing, because there's nothing there right now, so they're showing some landscaping here to dress up the building. They're showing, some around here. And then in the parking lot here, you'll see when we get to the conditions, I talk about the street tree. Because they did a nice job, but they do show as a tree in each of these, the eastern red cedar, and I think the red maple.
Maybe
Better. And that came from Teresa Mason.
Is signage somewhere in here?
We know, and we have a condition that signage has to be
Come back here.
Natural features, this site is already disturbed, and their clearing is going to be at 37.79, where they're allowed 50. There's no cultural resources. As it relates to pavement improvements, again, the town engineer has reviewed, and prior to getting map signature, they're going to have to get the final maps approved by engineer. Lighting actually was existing as they're showing, and so what I did was in the conditions, you'll see that we asked for final lighting information, and that any existing posts or new posts be left at 12 feet high. That's what we usually
Why 12, 10 is what we do.
I'm sorry, was it 10?
10, it's always
Okay,
10.
so we'll fix that then.
But they'll have enough 10-foot poles along that. It's a long stretch of parking.
It is, but we also, we don't want to overlight the parking lot. These, the retail and office
So how many
uses.
do we have?
Well, they're showing 2 in the parking lot right here, 3. They're
3,
showing 1,
okay.
2, 3.
That should do it.
That should do it.
Right?
Yeah, we don't.
I mean, it gets dark at 4 o'clock,
That's true.
and people are gonna go have their nails done.
And buy couches.
By couches, that's good. So that pertains to lighting. The facade, it's an existing building, so it's a stucco building. I think it's yellow now. I think it's going to be white, actually. Drainage, again, the engineer's comments.
Is he asking for 3-inch even and something like
Yeah, they always do.
Yeah.
Public water is going to be used on site. Public address or sound system, that's not happening. Physically challenged, again, the handicap parking spaces are shown to have to be properly marked, and that DPW is requiring some work in the front here, so that's
they
good.
want a ramp?
Yeah. They wanted ADA compliant. The access driveway is the wall.
Mhm.
It's just the requirement now, so that's good. Energy conservation, again, planning board strongly encourages the applicant to consider incorporating sustainable green elements, including solar panels, electric charging stations, grass pavers, and the like.
Can we get an electric charging station in there?
I believe we could get electric charge.
At least one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like that.
Yep.
When we get to the conditions, we'll talk about that. O is about the cross-access. We're implementing that. So I guess we're okay then, since this is town property. We don't have to worry about cross-access. Architecture, again, there's no changes to the building, and the ARB's already approved this. And the agricultural overlay district is not applicable. So if you go to the resolution, and we just go to page 2, where it says the resolution to approve subject to changes. A, changes to the site plan, so we got the requirements of the town engineer and the DPW. I want to see all that on the site plan. Again, the existing driveway along the east side of the building for the fire zone. Revise the parking calculations for 1 space per 180. Cross-access with the property to the west, we don't have to worry
We don't
about
need that.
anymore.
So that comes out.
Access into Montauk Highway will be limited to no left turns.
Right.
We're going to revise the landscaping plan to indicate that the natural vegetation, because it's nice and thick along here, is going to remain. So they have to note on the landscaping plan existing vegetation to remain. I don't want to take anything out of there.
And the parking lot vegetation.
And it says revise the landscaping plan to replace the eastern red cedar within the parking lot islands with red maples to be planted at a caliber of 2.5 to 3 inches. Provide a new lighting plan with photometric data and the lighting details, including illumination levels, pole fixtures not to exceed a height of 10 feet, as you said. They have to provide the dumpster enclosure detail, and
Where's that going?
the dumpster's back here. And, you know, they might have to adjust and they have room, but we got to get those cedars or something around them as well.
So is a truck, a refuse truck going to get all the way in there, unload that and turn around?
I'm surprised they didn't turn it 90 degrees so they can back all the way in and drive out.
You mean back here somewhere?
Yeah.
I
How are
like the
they gonna do
suggestion.
that? Yeah.
I think
That's
that
what
the
they normally do.
dumpster, they should redesign it so that the dumpsters are sitting that way.
Exactly.
Yeah. In line with the driveway, so you know, on the property line.
100% actually.
Yeah.
I agree with
So
that.
you're
So we'll
gonna-
make that change for Jay, that they relocate the dumpsters to the back of the property. So it's truck access.
Relocate to the,
To the rear of the parking lot. As
so
opposed
they're
to,
going to be turned around. as
yeah,
well.
they're gonna be facing this way. I'll put the direction in there.
Relocate to the rear.
That makes sense.
You're going to remember, Anthony, all this? Because we're not going to remind you.
No, I do my resolutions the day after the meeting.
Do you want a pen to make a note?
I got it. Trust me when I tell you.
It's all being recorded.
Kristen knows that I go to her after the meeting and say, "What did the planning board say?" What they say.
No, she has
I promise it,
So
it
she
will
has
be
the
accurate.
pen.
She has the pen. General conditions: no overnight parking of construction vehicles on this property. I mean, I think that we, you know.
Anthony, is that used elsewhere in our conditions, or is it particular because of the CAC?
It's used
comments?
in, you know, we could get even more specific. Sometimes we say on contractor property, store inside the building, designate outdoor areas, show us. In this case, we're just saying no storage of, because I think they're just using the property like that for now, is what it is that they're just storing stuff
Are
there.
they storing a boat there?
That's a boat, yes.
Yeah. So do we?
So we should just say no storage of,
No storage.
Vehicles
no
other than-
storage vehicles,
other
equipment,
than-
or,
Other than cars.
Unregistered vehicles, boats.
Yeah, boats, cars, all of that.
okay, I'll change that. That's fine. That's what they're using it for now.
One of the things that we're discussing on our transportation task force is creating truck parking. So
Gotcha.
to avoid trucks having to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth.
But
That's
that,
understood.
but that
That's-
should be trucks that are
that's
related to the
different.
business, not, this is a nail salon.
Right.
That would be, that would be another use if somebody was, if they were then renting out space for trucks.
Well, I think, that's one of the things we're trying to get a handle on is how we could structure truck
And I
parking.
know-
There was some talk of that, creating parking lots
Yeah.
for commercial vans so that they don't, these people would take the train home?
Hopefully we take the train
Yeah,
or
I
at
don't know
least
if they're
not,
gonna want
Traffic
concept.
car- traffic
Not
concept.
concept.
Parking ride type
not
thing.
congest the road trucks,
Yeah.
Yeah, but
congest roads more than.
I think you're going
regular
to face
vehicles.
the mentality of people, those workers not wanting to leave their trucks and their
Right,
equipment.
well, that's why I'm curious to see that they're, obviously, these folks are parking their trucks there every night.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
So-
yeah, no, I mean, we get that on a lot of sites, you'll see.
What's the business there now?
There was a antique and
Antique
furniture repair shop.
Furniture,
Yeah.
stair shop.
But you need a boat for
repair.
That's correct. Be that as it may, that the CAC was very clear, they don't want.
He's upholstering the leather chairs in the booth.
And the boat,
So I'm just gonna say there shall be no storage of,
vehicles other than
Vehicles.
customers?
yeah, or there's no storage
No
of.
storage.
No storage,
Just
no
in
outdoor
the
storage of
customers are not.
anything, and no storage of trucks, equipment, vehicles, and
Okay.
we'll put it in.
Other than related
Other
to
than
that
related to the
business.
business, yeah.
Right.
Of course. All signage is subject to planning board review and approval. All HVAC mechanical equipment shall be not visible from the road. The installation of dusk to dawn lighting fixtures is not permitted. No additional lighting without planning board approval. All the lighting should be downward and dark sky compliant. Obtain all the required permits and approvals from the DPW and the highway department as it relates to the curb cut here. Compliance with the Suffolk County DPW, and ADA requirements, all sidewalk, curb cuts, and ramps within the right-of-way.
Do they have to upgrade the septic?
That's a good question. When you get to the part of the building department, they have a whole thing that they look at as to whether or not a septic system is required to be upgraded. I don't think the change of use in this case in and of itself does. Going to a restaurant, for example,
Well, what
dry use to dry use, for example, but they well, here, hold on one
How
second.
about a nail salon?
Yeah,
People are in
you're
there every
100%
half
right
hour,
about
in and
that.
out.
And
Is that considered dry use?
no, it's not.
No.
So let me
It's the wet use.
just check, because they may have. I think they are putting a new septic on here. Is that in here?
It's a building permit issue, but the requirements now for things like nail salons, for ventilation, exhaust, fumes.
That's
stuff
from
you deal
the,
with that are
from the
quite
epoxy nails.
substantial, but that's
yeah.
interior to the building, part of it.
Yeah, the question is, does a nail salon, the health department question is, does the flow change?
Yes.
And if it does, then the septic system. That's why you see a lot of times when you go in for a building permit with the building department, even for a residence, it's the question of, does the septic system, and the first thing they say is, how many bedrooms do we have on record for this thing, and how many are you proposing? 4 to 4, you'll stick with your same septic system. 4 to 5, you'll upgrade. So,
Well, I mean, it's a furniture store versus a nail salon. Nail salon is a lot more traffic, turnover, customers.
yeah, so like I said, our approvals never ultimately require the health department. A lot of times we know that health department is required, and when they go in for their building permit, they have to present it. I don't know in this case if health department approval would be required. Claire, do you have anything you would like to add to that, or?
I don't know. No one's ever said it's a wet use to me.
Oh, that's interesting. So I don't know if the septic system is required to get upgraded here.
But should that not be part of
Our report.
Yeah, I mean, yes, so-
Raising the question that it's, yeah, do we know if nail salon is considered a wet use, that we can say that? Or do we have to say it may be, and therefore would require health department
I would think we
approval?
could say in here, prior to signature of maps, confirmation.
Get this.
I do it sooner than that. 'Cause
Oh, yeah.
You're way down, you're all done then.
Well, when we
I
do
felt-
conditional approvals of site plan, there's stuff either has to be submitted before you get the map signed, or stuff gets done before a CO gets issued. Those are our 2 thresholds. So once we have an approval in place,
So a map sign, they still would not have gone to the building department?
no,
for
they
permit?
would. In other words, they have to have the health department issue resolved before we would stamp the map signed,
Okay.
approved. So in other words, maybe we should just put a condition there, confirmation, as
Health
to whether
department approval prior to
health
sale.
department.
Yeah.
Okay, I will add that.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Did you get that, Christian? Prior to CO,
No, prior
map
to signature of map.
to signature.
Yeah. We'll get that before that. They'll have to pay an engineering fee, and Tom will calculate that. They'll have to file a notarized affidavit with this office. They'll also have to submit final plans for signature. And then prior to a CO, we need the maintenance bond for a period of 2 years for the landscaping. So I think with a few minor changes there. We could,
And they are?
Kristen? No. No, we have to add one more. And I wrote it down. We're opening up a cross-access, and we have to get a cross-access agreement, a legal document.
Oh,
Where is that going under?
Um,
General conditions?
Yes, no, to be completed prior to signature.
Yeah.
Connection to,
Yeah, it's a cross-access agreement. They're gonna do the work as part of when they construct, do
Right.
their work, but we gotta have that legal document. We have the one over.
it may be have to do a job.
Yeah, we'll
Because-
have to take a look. We didn't look, we did that drive-through there and
Yeah, well,
cross-access.
so the cars will be piled up. Is that it, Anthony?
That's it.
All right. So, motion to approve as revised.
Motion.
200 West Montauk by Gloria, second by Dennis, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 5 in favor, 1 absent. Thank you, Anthony. Put your socks
We're
on.
going back
If I had them,
to,
I'd put them on, my feet are cold.
You have socks on?
Oh, yes, I do, actually. Sorry.
Strata on, you said,
It's an extension.
Oh.
It's an extension.
Strata is just an extension of the action deadline until
September 12th.
September 12th.
Motion by Dennis, second by
Second.
George, all in favor. Aye. Opposed, abstentions, 5 in favor, 1 absent. Can we close it,
Close it
please?
all the way.
Well, mostly. Gloria's
I need
freezing
socks.
us on my back.
My feet are frozen.
Oh my God. It's gonna get a lot worse.
So Claire,
so we're
Yeah.
gonna go, are we gonna go back to
are
Seth?
we gonna go back to Carl or what?
No,
Just-
in this case, it's, 157,
Oh.
that one's gonna be off the agenda.
157 is off?
No, Galt is off.
Galt is off the agenda.
Number 5,
What's off?
Galt.
What's off?
What
Galt.
number is Galt?
number 5.
Number 5.
Number 5.
5 is
I
off.
spoke
That's
to
the
them.
covenant. Okay. And 6 is off, everybody, you know that.
Yeah. Say what it is, not just the number.
That's right, for you. Galt, John Galt is off, number 5, and Mill Farm Lane, number 6 is off.
What about 7? I mean, sorry, 8. Did we do that?
We did that.
Yes.
We revised the maintenance bond, yep.
Yep.
Release maintenance.
200 we just did. Trata is an extension, number 10.
Yes.
So we're up to 11, Claire?
157.
Yes.
157 Montauk
157.
Highway, we have all these people all of a sudden.
So, just to recap, 157 was discussed at the July 25th meeting. Jackie, you weren't here.
Yeah.
So we went through the part 2 application and talked about the application, and basically there was like 2 issues left. Traffic analysis was submitted. Planning board was generally satisfied, but they wanted the traffic data. So I emailed that to you 2 days ago. I have it. I have both documents with me. I'll pass it out. The second issue was we wanted a better presentation to Montauk Highway. The planning board had given that feedback and they were working on it. The ARB has seen it since and has approved it. There's been some revisions on that elevation. I have a copy of that too. So preliminarily approved by the ARB, and we'll process that.
So those are the 2 issues. Is this the traffic thing? You are?
Yep.
Yeah,
That was the recent, that's the traffic.
That's the accident.
The accident report.
Accident.
the accident
Right.
report, yeah.
I've got copies of both for all of you. So if you just take one of each, that's the analysis.
Tom, you reviewed all the accident reports and stuff.
Yeah, I did take a look at
That's
that.
the
Thank you.
report.
One of
and
each?
then One each,
One of
yeah.
each,
Did you get one of these?
It's 20th, July 25th. I'm good.
You good?
Yeah.
That's in July.
Yeah.
One
In the
of each.
mechanic thing.
One of this.
That's right across the street.
So, I guess most productively, we'll have maybe the traffic person to kind of summarize the accident information, and then we'll go from there.
This is Keen Cody from R&M Engineering, our traffic expert. So I'll just quickly run through the supplemental traffic letter for the accident report. So we gathered, we foiled with the New York State DOT for the latest 2 years of accident data, which comprised 2020 and 2023. We got for the intersection, the subject intersection, which is Montauk Highway at Hampton Bays Riverhead Road. And what we found was in that time period, there were 53 accidents reported. That equates to 26.5 accidents per year across the 2-year period. The most frequent accident type we found was the rear end accidents, which comprised 15 of the 53 total. 7 were reported to result in an injury, and then there was 1 fatal accident reported, which I'd like to discuss. The fatal accident, based off the police report, occurred on December 23rd, 2022, so the day before Christmas Eve. It occurred in the morning around 6 a.m., and based off the police report, it was raining and the road surface was wet at the time. Based off the police report, the accident occurred 250 feet west of the subject intersection, so a little bit closer to that shopping center driveway over there. And based off that information, it appears that the pedestrian was crossing mid-block, not at any striped crosswalks. And the police report didn't give a ton of information. It basically stated that the driver of the vehicle was traveling westbound along Montauk Highway, which at that portion is pretty straight and level, and that essentially the pedestrian crossed, and the driver said it was unavoidable, that he couldn't avoid the pedestrian. The police report did not report it as a fatality. I did a little bit of digging to try to find information because the information given for the state said fatality, but the police report did not. And what I found was a GoFundMe page discussing information for a funeral, and it stated that the pedestrian had passed away about a week or so later from complications in a surgery due to the accident. So it was not a fatality at the scene, which is what that discrepancy comes from. Ultimately, based off the information given to us, it just seems like a sort of a series of unfortunate events crossing the street at, a unlit period, not at a crosswalk, and without proper time for the driver to stop. Our own project isn't going to generate a large amount of traffic, about 40 trips during the peak hours, and it will be quickly absorbed back into the greater traffic along Montauk Highway or going north towards Sunrise. And based off the de minimis levels of traffic activity, we don't expect the project to increase the accident rates in the area. In addition, we are proposing pedestrian improvements along the site driveway with new striping and things like that. So it does bolster the pedestrian crossing over there. In addition, how based off the state's signal plans and timings, how the intersection functions is you have the east and west phases, they go along with their left turns. Then you have the southbound, then the northbound. So each the south and north phases are separated. It's called a split phase signal. And what that means is the northbound has its own dedicated phase, meaning when vehicles are turning out of what is now the diner site back onto Montauk Highway or up towards Sunrise, you wouldn't have any conflicting turning movements going along with it. So there shouldn't really be any increase in accidents at the actual intersection. And then once it spreads out onto Montauk Highway, it's absorbed into that general traffic, just like any other project or development along this area would be. We did analyze it as we would typically. So we looked at the state averages for accident rates at an intersection of this type, and for all intents and purposes, right now it's essentially a three-legged intersection with no northbound traffic. And the accident rate based off the statewide average for that is a 0.26 or a 0.17. And then when it becomes a fourth leg with the additional leg at the bottom, it becomes 0.26. Our rate was above the statewide average at 2.77 with about 26,000 vehicles entering that intersection throughout the year.
26,000
26,000 vehicles pass through that intersection every day,
every day.
essentially, based off the state averages from 2023. So you multiply that 365 times 2, and you end up with 19.1 million entering vehicles across the 2-year span. You take the 53, you divide it by the 19, and you get the 2.77. And that's basically gives our accident rate for that intersection. It does include not intersection-related accidents towards the east and west, like the 250 feet west, which does get included in the FOIL, so the rate is probably a bit lower at the actual intersection. But I've done maybe 100, 120 signalized intersections looking at accident data for various projects, and pretty much any time there's a state or a county road or any road that has a particularly high volume of traffic, all the Long Island intersections are always above the statewide average. Usually in this sort of range, I usually see about 2, something around there. So it's not really unheard of, and it's actually pretty common. So with the de minimis level of traffic, we didn't think it was going to increase accident rates in the area. And then that combined with the additional pedestrian improvements on the driveway, we think it shouldn't really affect the accidents in the area.
So your driveway is aligned with the signal, correct? So
it has its own signal face. Yeah.
Excuse me?
It has a signal face.
It does. So
Yes.
left. If your clients make a westbound turn, it aligns with the eastbound on that. What do they call that?
If they perform like a left out of the site.
Yes.
Yeah, it should just go straight onto Montauk Highway.
Left out of Montauk, onto Montauk Highway.
Left from Montauk Highway into the site?
No, out of
No,
the site.
out of the site.
Exiting the site.
Yeah.
They go
There'll be a left
They can,
as,
yeah.
as the other traffic makes eastbound, heads east.
There's the one coming at you goes
Yeah.
eastbound. and it'll go
There's enough
westbound. Yeah.
radius to those
Yeah, it's a
vehicles.
channelized right turn coming southbound, right? So you'd have to yield to oncoming traffic regardless.
Okay, because there's,
split phased.
Yeah, the intersection's also, the southbound doesn't go at the same time as the northbound.
Right. wait.
oh, okay.
It's a split phased intersection, at least based off, since there's no traffic coming out of there, it's hard to verify, but based off the timing data from the state, it should be its own separate phase.
So they'll have their own,
Yeah, it will
Option
go
to make a
east and west go at the same time with their own left phases. Then south should go, and then our driveway should go after the south ends.
yeah, because the 24, the southbound, it's 2 lanes, as you know, so.
Yeah,
and, you know,
yeah, that's why, I believe that's why they have it split phase.
okay,
And so this site will be utilizing the signals that are existing.
yeah.
When
To
the
make,
lights
to make
change.
left turns.
Yeah,
To
they
make
should
fire
be,
goes
they
straight
should
to
be able to make unencumbered left and right turns when it's their signal phase.
I will say I appreciated what you wrote here. I thought you did a nice job
Thank
with
you.
that. And that's why we should have a roundabout here and not this particular alignment, but that goes beyond all of us. You know, and also I think we should point out that by agreement, this is 2 years worth of data. Generally, when we get traffic studies done, they're 3 years worth of data, but because of COVID, we all
Yeah.
sat here and agreed it would be 2 years worth of data that you'd look at. So, and as I said, I think you did a pretty good job with this. I think, you know, you're probably right. Traffic's gonna be stopping in all other directions when they're exiting your property. The only thing I would say is that will probably back up the traffic more on Montauk Highway. And there may be a few more rear end accidents, because again, as you know, a lot of those rear end accidents happen at a stop light, the traffic signal, where people run into the rear end of the guy in front of them.
The one good thing about it being a split phase and the traffic coming out of there being relatively minor compared to a restaurant or something,
Yeah.
the less traffic you have coming out of there, since it's an actuated signal, essentially, if there's no traffic waiting at the light to go north, it will skip that phase. So the lower traffic you have, the more it will just operate as it does right now.
So that, just to be clear on that, that signal will not go green unless a vehicle
Unless
pulls
the
up.
vehicle's queued up there.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
triggers
you have to make sure you get to that section of the
They'll have a
road that it's
sensor,
the
something.
signal triggers it.
They'll have a sensor, right? On your
Maybe
property?
there's a sensor or
It's in the
camera.
ground.
Camera or sensor, okay.
Can you just explain, I mean, I know what a rear end is, and what's an overtake? Someone pulling out in front of the other car?
As far as I know, yes, it would be almost like sort of like a side swipe, but as you're overtaking. Most of the time, intersection related accidents are the ones involving turns, so left turns, sort of T-bone, those sorts of intersection accidents. Rear ends, side swipes, overtakes are all accidents that can occur both on straight road, like straight level travel, through movements, and then also at intersections. So if we're reviewing just the intersection itself, we'd only really discuss the amount of turning accidents. Those are usually the ones that we would think you'd want to try to mitigate more at an intersection level. But because this had a good mix of everything,
Yes.
15 of this, 15 of that, 13 of this.
Because that's how that is.
Yeah.
That's how that road is.
Just so you know,
Little of everything.
at the stoplight on Route 24, both have left turn arrows. There's no way of indication. I know, very familiar with the intersection. The left lane, the most eastbound lane, actually becomes the travel lane of Montauk Highway.
Right.
And the right lane is the one that has to merge and overtake or undertake the car that's, so when I come down that, I always make sure to position myself in the left
On the
lane,
left.
because now I'm in the travel lane.
Yeah. No, yeah.
And Tom, you pointed out too, the traffic going into the atrium.
Yeah, part of the
Oh,
part
yeah.
of the,
That's a
problem
whole
there.
nother disaster.
From when I worked here and used to get calls from a lot of people that were involved in accidents there. The westbound vehicles going west on Montauk Highway would stop at that light. That signal would allow cars that are making lefts into the atrium to make that left. But unfortunately, there is a right
Yeah.
through lane.
Yeah.
There were an awful, and I see that in your right angle numbers are high. I guarantee
That's
you,
how
that's
it
people
happens.
making that left that don't see that car that
Yeah,
keeps
they
going.
close the gap,
There were
yeah.
an awful lot of those type of accidents in that intersection.
It's a very sticky area.
It's a,
Calls for a roundabout.
yeah.
I think there's a second entrance.
move forward with what we got.
Yeah.
They hand you lemon, what can you make? Lemonade.
Try to improve it.
No, this is
But,
good.
but thank you, I thought.
Good.
I
Very good
summarized
job.
it
Thank you.
well.
So it was this, and what was the other one called?
The other issue was the architecture, and I just want to show it to you
Yeah.
very quickly.
The
They
north.
revised their plans, and what they did is they took a feature from the rear building, which is like this peaked roof. It's this angle, but the next picture is pretty good. It's got a tree, if you can see it in the middle, but it's got this feature here and breaking up with windows, so
Oh,
it looks
yeah.
much better.
Much nicer.
Yeah, much nicer presentation to Montauk Highway.
Yeah.
Any
So.
solar here? Did we discuss
Oh,
all of
yeah.
that?
Do you know if there's some solar indicated?
But we're solar ready, so I don't know if we're doing solar yet, but it's set up.
I hope you will.
Well, it's the type 1 action, right? We're doing secret,
Yeah, this your type 1 action doing secret, yeah.
so we'll review the energy section.
I do. I have it in the energy section. I just do the your
Yes, sir.
typical suggestions.
But if
We will have EV chargers. That's the we will suggest that.
can we mandate solar since?
Well, it becomes more prevalent on type 1 actions because they have to demonstrate, energy efficiency.
Right.
That's
And
an
it
easy,
ties into
easy
the-
way out.
To the climate action plan that the town adopted, so that's an adopted plan.
And it's a medical building, isn't it, one of them?
Yeah.
medical and a plain office building,
And
right?
Yeah.
regular
Yeah.
office.
So
It's got good,
that's another reason to make it healthy.
it's got good orientation and not a lot of trees on the side that can make it
Right.
perfect. for
Pretty
putting
open.
solar, yeah.
So I think you hear us.
Okay, I mean, you're gonna see it.
Good.
Okay.
Well, but most of the solar would be on the south side.
Yeah, I
On
mean,
the other-
they
the
orient
other
it.
side.
Yeah.
So you want it as a requirement? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, it's solar ready, they said, and now you'll
We heard we're gonna, they go down.
you'll do it.
Is that gonna be, do you have the EAF prepared? Clear?
I do. So I have, as I said, the part 2 you've seen before. So, but I have a part,
For three, then?
part 3, if you want to take a look at it.
So you
Yes.
keep one- you have one for yourself?
I do. Yes. So you want to go to the 3 things we talked about, maybe the aesthetics. I just added that the ARB had been, what did I say in this case? The building, the project is designed to be in keeping with the design standards of the Highway Business Overlay District, as well as being in compliance with the proposed pattern book for the Hampton Bays downtown districts. And then this is on the second page for transportation, I mentioned in the second bullet the 2 reports that have been issued on this. And then they conclude there will not be a significant impact on traffic. And then the bottom of the second page is the energy. So I'm going to add the applicant will propose solar on the building.
Solar, right.
Okay.
This is everything that you went over.
We went over it otherwise. Yep. So with that, I'd be recommending a negative declaration.
Yep.
And then after that action, we would do completeness for the project. We have everything we need to process the application and schedule a public hearing. So if you want to do 2 actions.
Do you have a hearing date?
I think October 10th works.
Is that good for your team, October 10th?
October 10th?
If we can do it sooner, that'd be great, but.
We have no more room in September.
In September. Okay, so our motion is to
First adopt 2 resolutions, right?
adopt
Right, please.
the report.
Adopt the
and-
neg
Neg
deck.
deck.
And the neg deck with a negative declaration for secret.
That motion.
Motion by Dennis, second by Gloria, and all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions. 5 in favor, 1 absent. And then, do we want to set a date or
Yep,
October.
complete for hearing, for October 10th.
set a schedule, public hearing for October 10?
Motion.
Motion by Gloria and second by
Second.
George. All in favor?
Aye.
Those abstentions, 1 in favor, 1 absent.
Moving
Thank
forward.
you, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for your
Thank you.
cooperation for.
Oh, did you want to ask
think it's
about
gonna
the
be nice.
demolition of the building? I'm just
For what?
Do you want to ask when they're going to abolish the building?
We're getting closer.
How about October 9th?
I have something to go to them with now.
Yeah,
So, hey, we
right.
made progress.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks so much for
very
coming in, guys.
All right,
The Bible
4
Church.
o'clock, yeah. East, Anthony, you got here?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
You assumed that I walked out, that's what happened.
I did, I saw you go, I didn't see you come back. Eastport Bible Church,
So we have this on for two things. This board's been working on this project. It started with Matt before he got here, so I need to move this along now. Actually, I'm not going to use the full site plan here because, as you can see, it's really hard to read.
yeah.
So we'll go to.
So you're going over the,
Yeah, I'm going to do the sequel here.
yeah,
Yeah, let me just. You pull it up there.
Yes.
Not live. We skipped that one. Yeah, it's
386. Sorry. I'll get out of here.
And so the board can see here. It also includes these pieces here the church owns. So actually, do this, and we'll do this. I guess that's better. So this is an existing church in Eastport. The proposal is to, redo the parking lot, and they're going to be adding. It's just under 6,000 square feet for their community building, as we call it. It's basically where they're going to. Right now, they have all their activities take place in the church building. So now their Sunday school, their events for the kids, their events will be housed in this other building. There's a rendering. This is much nicer to look at sometimes than an elevation. This gives it a nice look.
So that's not the church, that's just the new building?
That's going to be the new building.
Okay. It looks like a church.
It does, yeah, it does. I think it's nicely designed.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, so that looks good. So, we've been working on it for a couple of years. We've had the plans revised, and they've really been working with me. This is much easier to see. Montauk Highway over here, and then Tuttle down there. So now you can sort of see where the building's going in relation to the church and the parking. So
Is the applicant here?
I don't know that they were able to make it today, but we were just going to do the neg deck and then
Okay.
complete this. So.
And this is vacant land
No.
What is
now? They're renovating.
Here's the church here.
Oh, okay.
And it's not really vacant per se, but it doesn't have a building, so we're utilizing back here.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
So then I gave you part 2 that we could go through. Let's go through impacts on the land. I always say yes, all new development impacts land in some way. The question is it small or large? And in this case, it's pretty small. I made them give me some type of traffic analysis just so we knew what kind of numbers we were dealing with, which I'll discuss. So I think the impact will be small on land, nothing significant. Geologic resources, not on this particular piece, no wetlands, no slopes, nothing like that. Impacts on surface water, not in this case. It's pretty separated from any surface waters and certainly no wetlands in and around the area. Impacts on groundwater. Yes, there's always impacts on groundwater new development, but we're going to get upgraded septic systems here as a result of this project and a new septic system. So
that's actually a positive.
that is a positive, and plus some new landscaping, all that kind of stuff could help.
Would we get a new septic system for the church as well, or just for the new buildings?
It's probably
Just
gonna be, it's gonna be for the new building, I'm presuming.
But if the church is going to be being used the way it was.
That's right.
Right.
They're gonna start shifting everything
Yeah.
over there, which is a good thing. Impact on flooding, not in this case. We've got good drainage in the area, and the engineer is gonna make sure all stormwater is contained on site. Impacts on air, not expected in this case. Impacts on plants and animals, also. It's a largely pretty cleared site, actually. Not a lot of natural vegetation left. Impacts on agricultural resources. It's not within the area. Impacts on aesthetic resources. No, in fact, I think it's going to be good for the community. Really nice. Impact on historic and archaeological resources. It's actually not in the New York State archaeological sensitive area, but I think the historic nature of the building design is consistent, so I think that's good. Impacts on open space and recreation, not in this case. Impacts on critical environmental areas. This is not in a critical environmental area. Impacts on transportation. Yes, I do always say, even if there's not a big change, but based on the information I got, they have two services on a Sunday. The first service at 9 o'clock, they get roughly, they said, between 65 and 70 people, and then the second service around 150. And they don't anticipate, this is not designed to increase parishioners, this is just to shift where their activities are all taking place in there.
Well, I'm assuming they may be adding more activities during the week now that they have this new space.
I would imagine that they would, for sure. So I think that's why, for some consideration on transportation, we're going to have something. Same thing with impacts on energy. I think there would be some impact. Of course, even with the church, we will recommend that when we get to that point, some green energy design, like we always do. Impact on noise, odor, and light. Nope. Impacts on human health. We don't anticipate any impacts there. Consistency with community plans. It's a special exception use that's going to go through the steps of the process. And again, I think the overall architectural design is consistent. Consistent with community character. It's an existing church, and it's going to be a proposed church facility. So
do you have a resolution?
it should have been in the packet, and the resolution was to issue a negative declaration for this project.
Any questions?
I'll move it.
Motion by Dennis, second by Gloria, and all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 5 in favor, 1 absent. Red deck.
And then just real quick, number 25, which is Eastport Bible Church. This would be to deem the application complete and schedule the hearing. And I don't know when I scheduled it.
10:10.
The reason why we're full on the 26th is because I have two scheduled I'm putting on two, but I think I did 10-10 on this one.
Yes.
October 10th.
October 10th.
Okay, motion to schedule the public hearing on October 10th, Gloria. Second by Dennis, all in favor. Opposed, abstentions, 5 in favor, 1 absent.
We've got a bunch of others.
Yeah, I'll let everybody go in order here.
Teresa, Alexander Freeman, secret coordination.
So we are looking at a 2-lot subdivision here at 85 Daylily Lane. This has been going on for quite some time. Part of it was that they needed to get a waiver from the health department for connecting the public service water line because it's way down here or way over here. So they are required to, by the health department, to put an easement in place that says they'll connect to public water when it is within close proximity to the property and the subdivision. The application is generally complete, contingent on completing SECRA because it is in a agricultural overlay district, so it's a type 1 action pursuant to chapter 157 of the town code. So we do have to need to coordinate with the Suffolk County Department of Health Services, which has been reviewing this project. So that resolution before you is to commence SECRA and coordinate with the health department.
Motion for that?
Motion.
Motion by Gloria, second by George, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 5 in favor, 1 absent. Okay, thank you. Prema, 49. Oh, 15 is off the agenda.
15, 16, 17.
16 is
and
off,
17.
and 17 is off.
Okay. Please say the
Oh,
name.
yeah, okay,
Please say the
15,
names.
495 County Road 39, off. 16, Area T LLC, off. 17, Bristol Properties 4, off. Let's hold, let's hold off on the traffic study for a second, go through the other stuff. Anthony, are you, he's not here.
I can take care of 20.
Take care of 20.
He's outside.
There he is. Anthony, 1030 and 1088 Noyak Path.
Yeah, we discussed this at one point, but let me pull this up here.
Is anything else off? Anybody? Maureen, you signed everything?
Yes.
Okay. Let's acknowledge the signed plans on 31 Ocean Road Real Estate, number 32 West Hampton Beach Fire
No.
District. No.
I signed Pad Developments, CAP
Number
LLC, and
30.
Ocean Road.
Number-
I don't have the correct numbers because I'm using
Okay.
my old.
Number 30 CAP LLC is signed, and number 29 PAD is signed. So acknowledging those signatures,
Not 32.
not 32.
There's a site plan. Oh, it is.
Okay. So what we have here is sort of a unique application. We don't get too many of these. David Gilmartin represents the owner of these two properties. This is Noyak Path up in Watermill. We have Old Sag Harbor Road that comes down over here. This existing property is in the CR 200. It has an existing single-family residence and other accessory structures. It's an aquifer protection overlay district. At just over 200,000 square feet, they're entitled to 15%. If it was at 200,000, it would be 20%. This piece down here, what the applicant's looking to do is looking to transfer a full development right. Normally, when we get clearing issues and stuff like that, we're transferring fractions from an old filed map. Joe Goss is here all the time. What they're looking to do here is this property was part of a subdivision in the 80s, as you could see, and actually we're dealing with this property, with these properties back here, which is sort of a mess. But this property was part of a subdivision in the 80s. That subdivision approved the lot. The subdivision required site plan approval for this property. That's always a red flag to me when the subdivision requires a site plan. It raises questions about that property. It's got the LIPA lines in here, and the rest of it's fully wooded. This had already received site plan approval, and then subsequently got a building permit for the construction. And actually, it also required zoning board approval, so they had to get all these approvals to build. Dave went down to the town board to get a development right certificate issued for this property, one full development right, and had to go to the town board as opposed to what Dave does in-house when we're dealing with old file maps and he issues letters based on that. You had to go to the town board. Town board issued a full development right for this property because it can be built with a house. What he's looking to do is to simply preserve this piece and transfer the right to build on this piece as a carriage house. Carriage houses don't normally come to the board here. They get their development right and they go to the building department. This board never sees it. But what we're doing here is we want to memorialize, since it's a full development right, not a fraction, not from an old filed map, the applicant would like the clearing that they're entitled to down here to be transferred to this piece, along with the right to build. This piece then is fully preserved, no single family residence. I think there was a swimming pool on there before, nobody living under the LIPA lines. This property then would get this clearing, I think it's 28,000. It would allow up to, I believe, and I have it in a resolution that I'd show you, it would give them 58,000 square feet of clearing on this property, the ability to put the second house. That would bring this property to 29% clearing total when you do the calculation. And then it gives them the second carriage house, and they go to the building department and do that. So the reason why I put a resolution together is I wanted to memorialize that we were transferring the clearing rights, but I didn't want them to then go to the building department and then not be able to get their building permit since they went to all the trouble to get a full development right. So that's what I have as a resolution, is that it simply transfers the ability to build on this property along with the clearing from this piece to this piece.
To that piece, yeah.
And
It's
that's
the
what we
full
do.
package.
It's just, it's unique because we're dealing with these tiny little minuscule things from old filed maps, from properties that can never be developed.
Mhm.
Or we use them to piece them together
Mhm.
so someone could build on an
Right.
old filed map that you've opened up. But we normally don't get ones that they want to take the full development, right? Bring it and get the carriage house and the clearing. So I thought it would be good to properly
You have a
memorialize it. I have,
resolution?
And
well, I have,
does the applicant own both pieces or
they,
Yes.
he owned both of them now.
They're owned in an LLC, but it's the same
Same.
individual who owns, managing member and owns the LLC.
Certainly not the place you want to put a house.
No, no. And on top of the light lines, there's steep slopes, so there's a certain area
Not a
where it
very
could go.
nice lot.
And plus it has the driveway to the neighboring subdivision goes through it as well. I don't think you can see it in that area.
We're going to be dealing with that on the backdrop.
Okay.
So it's impacted, okay, so.
We are well aware of that one now. So I basically what I have here is the resolution. It's to your authority under that section of the code to transfer the subject property, which is 1088, to allow for a total amount of clearing or site disturbance of 58,031 square feet, or 29% of the property, to be disturbed, cleared, which exceeds the permitted 15%. And that they're transferring the clearing rights from 1030 Noyak Path, so 1030 to 1088. I believe
Yes,
that's the way it works.
1030.
Subject to certain conditions. One, as this transfer is a full development from a parcel for which approval and issuance of building permits for the construction of a single-family residence was previously granted. The applicant can utilize the subject development right to transfer both the right to build and associated clearing on the subject property. Just wanted to make sure I spelled that out properly. Filing and extinguishment of the clearing rights for the property, or dedication of the lot to the town. What happens is once the development rights is extinguished, then an easement's put on it, preventing it from, conservation easement. We like to throw in there, we're dedicated to the town. It's nice when the land can be dedicated to the town.
We're happy to dedicate it.
then you don't have
If
to pay
they'll take it.
taxes?
That's true. That's where I come in, and I have to go to the town board
Yeah.
and explain ourselves to them. But that, if you would do that, at least offer it. I think that
So
would.
you're just identifying these lots as their Suffolk County tax map?
And address, yeah, I like to put it in there, so there's no question, about where it's coming from. We put this in. I discussed this with Dave. When we do these clearing things, we really should be putting covenants on the lot that's receiving, so we know for all future property owners what they're entitled to. So we'll have a
Yes.
covenant file that says the clearing permitted
Is this?
is this, and here's
And
how
it's-
it happened.
So if it goes over,
That's right, and we have something.
Makes things clear in the future.
Yeah.
Yes,
Right.
much easier.
It does.
And then, as we always do, applicants should install a project limiting fence to be inspected by the building department before they do any clearing on the property.
I think you have to identify the properties, it's confusing.
You know what? All I did was gave you the resolve. I have all my whereases.
You do?
Yeah. But I do put in this here. It does give the property addresses and tax maps that they are listed in there.
Okay.
And with that, I would authorize this.
Can
questions?
I just ask
Yeah.
one question more clarification? Since there's a LIPA easement over that property already, I presume, are they involved in that transfer at all, or?
They just have an
in any
easement.
way?
They just have the easement. Like
Do you
we've
have to
done in many.
extinguish
That
the
runs-
easement?
That
No.
easement doesn't. It doesn't makes no
I
difference
wish.
what we do with the
Yeah.
land.
Right.
That
Yeah,
easement
I
goes
wish.
through it.
Yeah. Good
Right.
question.
No, I just wondered if they were involved. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, motion to move forward with this?
motion,
Motion by Dennis, second by Gloria, and all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 5 in favor, 1 absent.
Thank you.
Dave.
Thank you, Anthony.
No problem.
Okay, let's get, Seth, you're there.
Yes.
The Verizon Wireless on the side, consider completeness and,
Yes, so I have taken over this, let me get my.
I'm having such a hard time following my notes with all these changes in numbers.
I've taken over this project from Claire, I've been shepherding it to the planning board.
Yeah.
I was tasked with taking on the secret review. Upon digging in, it seemed that we were missing some vital information. So I had notified the applicant that with this checklist that we still need to get some further information. In particular, he had submitted a survey from 1963, and this is located in the Aquifer Protection Overlay District.
Is this the one in the village of Sag Harbor?
Yes, this.
Yeah. It's the one that they're replacing.
The
Oh,
Bridgehampton,
existing
sorry,
tower, they're
the Bridgehampton
replacing it.
Sag Harbor Turnpike 1665. It is currently not operational. It will be a swap out for new equipment, a 95-foot monopole with hidden antennas inside of it. It will have, it does not, it can't be considered a tier 1, 2, or 3 project. It's actually a special exception because it is a major, a new structure. It might be going in the existing location, but it is a brand new pole. So that's why it's brought before us as a site plan special exception. At any rate, I would like to deem the application incomplete at this moment. I would like to get a better determination as to the level of clearing at the site in order to determine how much clearing is going to actually take place. They did not give any stipulation on how much was going to be cleared for the construction of this big structure.
The base,
Yeah,
And
it is
then
a
you want
it is a new
distances.
concrete pad.
Yeah.
And really, just to get an updated survey from 1963.
Yeah,
trying to-
yeah, I think it's high time to get a better view of this property. So I am in discussions with him, and I am also requiring a narrative on how he meets or exceeds the special exception standards. He said the VHB is putting together a study on that and will be presented to us as well.
Great. So we're deeming it incomplete. That's our action.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
So motion to
Motion.
deem it incomplete by Dennis, second by George. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 5 in favor, 1 absent. We're moving on to Teresa here. Yeah, Kim Lester Boat Storage.
This is actually really quick. Last meeting, we had discussed, Susanna Herman was here on behalf of her client. Her client didn't want to provide the fire hydrant data on the survey. And we had discussed it, and we said we need to reach out to John Rankin. And John Rankin said he wants the survey updated to show the fire hydrants. And I believe Susanna was okay with that, but I just wanted to reaffirm that, yes, we're gonna require the fire hydrants,
Okay,
correct?
so this is the one that they didn't
Yeah.
want to pay for,
Yes.
the survey.
Right.
Okay.
So, we're just reaffirming that, yes, the application is still incomplete, subject to the fire hydrants.
do we need a resolution for incomplete or
No,
no
I don't
action
think so,
needed?
because we've
Just an
already done a
update.
resolution.
Oh, okay.
I would just send her an email just saying the board discussed it, we reaffirming that we need it.
Okay, so
Okay.
no action.
No
It's
action.
required.
Right, and she was copied on that email, so she's okay.
Good.
Right.
All right, Anthony is gone again.
He was right out the. I
Prina,
saw
why
him
don't
right
you
outside
take
the door.
why don't you take 26, Prina? That is North Edge Stables LLC.
Yes, this is the,
That's the horse farm.
the private horse farm in
Yeah.
Southampton on Lumber Lane. Actually, the applicant's representative requested an extension, to the court to September 12th.
Extension to September 12. And you sat here. Poor Yeah. Okay, a motion to extend this to September 12 by Dennis, by George, second by Tom, all in favor.
Aye.
Yeah.
5 in favor.
Brenda, thank you for setting the easement language.
Oh, good, and I brought hard copies.
Yeah, and I do have questions about some of the equestrian sections of the easement, and I'm obviously not an attorney, but that's something that
When
I
we
would,
get to the report.
I think
I'll
we need
advance
to
the
discuss.
report, ahead of the package even, for the next meeting, so you have maybe, over a week with it, or maybe much closer to 2 weeks with it. Tom, you wanna?
I'll take a paper copy. Always like that.
I'll take one too, please.
Yes, I will too, Prina. All right, Anthony, you're up.
Richard Avedon?
Yes.
Number 22, Richard Avedon Foundation.
And Jack Thompson too.
Yeah.
This is an application we've been dealing with. This is 9 the Bridge in Noyak. This was sort of a uniquely laid out subdivision back in the day. This is one of the lots. It's CR 200 zone. It's right off of the bridge there. This was actually for the Richard Avedon Foundation. This was an art foundation, and they were using this building in there. They got the determination from the building department at the time that it was a use that was consistent in that zone. It's really an archive building. It's not really a museum or anything like that, but it's to archive Richard Avedon artwork. It's been before the board. We did a pre-submission conference on this. It had to go to the zoning board.
You changed the access to it, if I remember. That's what
Yeah, you guys did some stuff down here.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is a very uniquely laid out subdivision. They finished up at the ZBA. They had given us information. We deemed it incomplete. They submitted revised information. And now we're actually just deeming the application complete finally. And scheduling a hearing. That's really what this is for.
The hearing, so when?
This one I scheduled for 9/26.
9/26.
Something, Dennis?
Oh, no.
Oh,
She was shaking.
I see you shaking your head on that.
Get the water out of my ears.
There you go. So I would do it for 9/26.
Motion.
What are we doing? I'm sorry, I was just.
Deeming it complete and scheduling the hearing.
Complete.
Complete,
At
yeah.
Public hearing.
Yeah.
And the hearing is
9/26.
9/26.
September 26th. Okay, who made that motion?
George. I'll
George.
second.
Second by Dennis, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 5 in favor, 1 absent. Anthony, just on that, the clearing, we had a discussion about.
Yeah, you know,
The clearing
when
on
you
there.
when that subdivision was done, the clearing was a very big discussion, and
Because it looked, there's a swath in there that looks,
and this was
Question.
acknowledged in the subdivision when you did it.
was that part of the track? No.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, they're utilizing basically what's sitting here,
Uh-huh.
the cleared area for the construction.
And
of
it's
that.
5,000 square feet, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the old road in.
Yeah.
Right?
It's the old
one of
road
the old
in, yeah.
access roads.
Yeah.
Some of these lots in the subdivision require transferring the clearing right. It was a very
Yes,
complicated subdivision.
yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
And there's a lot of slopes in that area.
100%.
Yes, a lot of slopes.
A lot of slopes.
So Brown Buddha, New York? number
15.
23.
So this is County Route 39 in Tuckahoe. For some reference, I believe this property next to it, just to the west, is the statue place.
Oh, where those giant statues were?
Yes.
And which one is it?
So there's it's this building right here. So let me just move up a little bit.
Do we not have 2 marijuana applications within, too close to each other?
As long as they're over 1,000 feet from each other, that's a
Okay.
threshold. Yeah. But that's a good question because that's been asked about Tuckahoe now. Because now it's the
Yeah, I
second
thought it
one.
was.
It is, as far as I know.
I thought it was, the difference was much greater.
Yeah.
So it's an existing building. This is the pool company there. So, well, the proposal is to convert that to a cannabis facility. So
Yes.
the application is to schedule a pre-submission conference for this.
And that's for the
Is it
26th
complete,
also.
Anthony?
What's that?
It's complete and scheduled?
It's pre-submission, so
Oh,
all
it's
you need is, yeah, so
pre-submission.
we do have what we need, and I'm doing this one for October 10th.
October 10th.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Motion?
motion to set a pre-submission conference for October 10.
Gloria.
Florian,
Second.
second by Dennis. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 5 in favor, 1 absent.
We have another one coming in next week, as a matter of fact. So it'll be
Another, well,
pre-submission,
so
yeah.
we'll be potted, well potted.
Yes, we will be so knowledgeable.
That's for sure. The next one.
24, Heatherwood at Hampton Bays.
Yeah, Heatherwood, you weren't here for this, Jackie, but I went over it with you.
Yes.
We did a work session on this. This is a property, West Montauk Highway. Actually, you just discussed this piece down here, right? Here's the atrium. It's it's OD. It's office district in the front, and then multifamily 44 in the back. This is Heatherwood apartment complex here, townhomes. And the proposal, they already received the change of zone back here. This is done long ago. Because it was they knew it was going to be a multiple phase project. Heatherwood was going to expand. So the proposal,
you read the historical submission on this property?
Yes. So I'll explain to the board, so the board is
Yeah.
aware. So Jackie, the proposal is to build the additional apartments in the back. Retail on the first floor in the front here in the office district, whatever uses would be permitted, and then 9 apartment units on the second floor there. And it would be subject to, both of these would be subject to affordable housing
So
provisions.
mixed use in the front.
Mixed
Yeah,
use, it is.
which is one of the Hampton Bay's pattern book idea.
100%. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You would definitely
Yes.
want some commercial and residential
Yeah.
there for sure. So this one was to actually talk about what you said. So there's a question about whether or not there's a cemetery in and around this area
That's right,
for which headstones were removed and the
Oh.
bodies are left.
Yeah, we got a letter from.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
guess,
Marion
the-
Bowden.
the-
Right.
Yeah, no, and we've
Paul.
received, I also met with someone has also said, it is very possible, there is, on this piece here, I believe there was something in the corner that was protected, it's something, they were going through this, it is not clear whether or not there was a cemetery on this piece, okay? The aerials don't really help us, we got the letter claiming that there might be or there is. So what I will say is that this, it's a pre-submission, this obviously will come into a report. This is in the archaeological sensitive area, so it is going to be subject to an archaeological study. So then the question becomes is, does that study go down deep enough?
Is it a type 1 action?
It will be, yeah.
Is there a method of evaluating underground?
Yes,
We
there
do,
is.
we have,
There is.
we have a
There is.
machine.
We have a
The
machine.
town clerk's office actually with this.
There is a
Right.
technology.
Right.
for
Right.
that.
We have
Because you're right, the
a
1B would not cover
You're
that.
looking at,
Well, 1A has
Test pits.
historical,
Yeah.
and 1B is shovel testing.
Yeah,
But they
both
do
are-
have, the town has the equipment.
I'm aware of that.
I don't know how far down it goes.
well, wouldn't the applicant retain
You
a
can ask them
consultant
to
to
do
do that?
Yeah, well, when we,
Yeah.
obviously it's a
They may,
pre-submission.
just happen to have.
But yes,
Oh.
when we get to the secret part, if there's any question about anything, we wouldn't accept a 1B in that case. We would
Yeah.
have to get,
Somebody 1C.
you gotta go deep enough to see if there's any
Yeah.
Oh,
burials.
So it's just that upper piece or the lower piece as
Well,
well?
this whole site would be subject to the
Yeah.
archaeology. We wouldn't
Yeah.
just do it for the back.
So where are we in this?
Very early, so we're just gonna schedule the pre-submission conference for this. This one was for September 26th.
motion to schedule.
Second,
Okay, Heatherwood, pre-submission conference on 9/26, motion by Dennis, second by Gloria, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 9 in favor, 1 absent.
You know what, I'll just do my.
Lillian Court,
Might as well.
yeah,
that's an extension.
What you got?
Yeah, I have to just
we've
open.
done North
Well,
Edge
we've done
Woods,
26, can
26, 7 Anthony,
On Lillian
Lillian Court.
Court, did you write down, I don't have my resolution here.
6/24/25.
Thank you. So
Just
Lillian
call me
Court-
Kristen.
Lillian Court is an extension until June
4th,
2025.
yes,
June 25 or 24?
25.
25,
We're extending the pre-application report for
for a
you.
year.
oh, okay. So,
Motion.
2025 motion by Gloria, second by George, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 5 in favor, 1
I'd like to
absent.
give Tom a chance to, don't use that
To
third
speak
name
up.
here.
Wake him up.
And then Brown Development
Wait a
Court,
minute.
Yes,
this was, we've already done an approval for this. This is a 2-lot subdivision. This would be just the second extension, the submission of the final maps, and that would bring it to October 30th, 2024.
okay, motion to October 30th, 2024.
Motion.
Motion by Dennis, second by Gloria, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 5 in favor, 1 absent. We've done number 30, that was signed. Ocean Road Real Estate was signed.
Did we do number 29? Was that signed?
Yeah, yes.
32
And
was not signed.
32 West Hampton Beach Fire District, Claire, is that all?
That's a signature.
That was for signature and
But it's
that did not happen. We
It
do
did not happen.
We do
Don't
not have,
Take it off the
yeah,
agenda.
Blessing
number
Fields and West
32.
Hampton Fire District were not
Okay,
signed because we
that's
didn't
it.
have the forms.
So we gotta come back to
Traffic
Oh, yeah,
traffic
sorry,
study.
sorry, the traffic, sorry, Teresa.
I
Okay.
thought I had more prints of this draft resolution, however, I don't seem to. So I
We'll
guess-
show you.
You certainly had enough time to get more.
I'm sorry, yeah, I just kinda zoned out.
I have
So basically, we had discussed maybe requiring spring or fall traffic counts in addition to traffic counts mid-June through mid-July, because obviously after the summer, in the later portion of the summer, traffic is much lighter, as evidenced by the fact it took me 15 minutes to get here yesterday. Kind of have a lead foot, but that's besides the point. So
Yesterday, traffic was much lighter.
yeah,
Today it was
I
like,
mapped it on Google Maps.
it was much lighter, yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is the late August, people take vacations. So,
come
you
to
know,
Bridgehampton.
Yeah, like
Well,
next week.
especially because of the-
right, next week is obviously another story
Yeah,
altogether.
it's like
but, you know, so the question is, do we want to adopt this traffic policy where we require a count in the spring and a count in midsummer?
That's our idea, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because the schools are
What do you
open.
think, Sean?
I think, well, you know, I do kind of sometimes wonder whether two are necessary or not. I mean, when we see applications come in and, you know, we work at the town, most people don't do two when they're, you know, coming in with a traffic study, except in special circumstances. But with regard to this, we had talked a little bit about me coming in with some of the traffic information that I've been presenting to the
Committee.
Traffic Mitigation Committee. Maybe we take a look at that. Some of what I've looked at is, of course, year-round, but I've also compared May traffic to July traffic by hour, the traffic flow by hours of the
Right.
week, or, you know, hours of the day, I'm sorry. And you do see a little bit of variation, so I just thought, you know,
Should
maybe
we
we
wait?
should hold off
Yeah,
on
hold
this,
off
Yeah.
on this.
look at some of that, might shed some light, or it might not.
Okay,
But
maybe,
Well,
so
what-
can we schedule that for the next session, or?
Do you want to do it
Yeah.
as like a work
I'll
session?
do-
Like a,
As a work
yeah, that's
session?
what I'm
Yeah, that
kind of
works.
thinking, a little bit of a work
For
session.
next,
Talk to,
Do
who's
it
out? Anybody out?
early
next week?
September, you know, the
No.
first one in September or something, if there's
Oh, the
time,
next, the
you
next,
know.
I know that Tom Houghton had also started asking employees here at the town when they first started doing the cones at CPI, maybe 2 years ago, and he
Right.
started for like a couple of weeks. He asked for employees to send data, so he may have some additional data if you want to talk.
We
to him
have,
about
yeah,
that.
he did compile it, we haven't been able to get it to analyze it, but, yeah, there is that information, and, as I said, I've been, you know, presenting some stuff. So, you know, maybe we'll
so we'll do it on the
look at
agenda
that
for
presentation.
next session?
Okay,
so
sounds
like
great.
before the meeting?
Yeah,
Yeah.
work session.
Work
You
session.
want to talk to Janice and see if we get,
Get some
an
credit?
hour?
Janice
Yeah.
is going to be coming
Oh, that's a
anyway
good
on the
idea.
12th
So
as
can
well
we get
to
a
do the
credit?
zone change as well.
We can get an hour's credit.
Okay,
Yeah.
we can get a credit.
For Tom's presentation.
Yeah,
See if
for
we can
Tom's.
get an hour's credit of training.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'll check with
Yeah.
Janice about that. But Janice is also scheduled to come on the 12th to discuss some code amendments that we had been working on. Kate had asked for a discussion potentially of the tree
Okay.
clearing,
Yes,
and among other recommendations that we've been
so
talking
that's
to the
what,
town board.
is that next session?
Yes.
Mhm.
And should we start earlier?
Maybe we come in a little bit earlier, a half hour.
I don't know if
What
that's
can-
possible.
Christine, what do you think?
It depends on if the town board is still,
Oh, they're
In
here,
here?
yeah,
Yeah.
they're often here.
although for next week,
Yeah,
For the 12th.
The 12th,
oh, the 12th, no, because they have a canceled work session next Thursday, but no,
yeah.
they're in here.
All right, well, I don't know how heavy the agenda's going to be for 2 weeks from now. We have a sense of that?
For the 2 p.m., I'm not sure.
Depends what the planners put on.
We're
Yeah.
on for the night. I don't know if that's.
Yeah, well, we'll have an agenda meeting on next Tuesday, because Monday's the holiday.
Right.
Well, let's do it, let's
Okay.
plan for it.
And then we can always take a look at what the agenda looks
Right,
like.
And
if we
see-
have to bump it, I'll
right.
have the information.
But you'll have it,
It's
you'll be
not going
ready,
anywhere.
okay.
Well,
Okay.
The other thing we had talked about that became up in discussion in the last few months has been, obviously, traffic study takes time and money for the applicant, but whether we can utilize some of this New York State DOT traffic counts that take care year round, maybe one of the traffic studies, wherever they're doing it.
Right.
you
A
know.
lot of what I'll present
Right.
is taken from the DOT websites.
And you know,
So
really,
I think
really,
that's-
if we treat the development as really the impacts based on the use and upgrading use versus like the overall traffic study is necessary for that.
Right. Yeah.
We look at analysis from that.
I think if,
We did that for the
they did,
motel thing.
right,
Yeah.
that's, we let them, right.
We let them do it for the motel side.
All right, thank
Thanks,
you.
Thanks,
Teresa.
Teresa. We'll get it done one of these days. But Tom's work is great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone.
Motion
Motion
to adjourn.
adjourned by Dennis, second by Gloria, and all in favor. Opposed, abstentions, 5 in favor, 1 absent. We are adjourned.
This is our Labor Day.
And there's no,
This is our
no,
Labor Day. Everybody
Early.
be safe.
Early, angry, and
Yes.
nothing.
Drive carefully.
What are we doing? What are we doing?